this is not exactly targeting the past as much as it is targeting the future, who you're going to vote for and what method you're going to make. And I wish we stand, and we'll do the invocation. Jacoby.
I humbly ask that you take off all non-religious headgear. I humbly ask that you all take off all non-religious headgear. Salute, pledge. Oh, sorry, the prayer. Yeah. Oh, all right. Do you want to give this to a reverend? Or? Yeah. Oh, okay. My apologies. This wasn't. Okay. Yeah. Dear Heavenly, sorry, bow your heads. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you that we're all able to gather in this event. We're thankful for all the opportunities you've given us personally, and the opportunities that you've given our community. And we pray for a good debate, a free and fair election, and unity among our city, among anything else. And in Jesus' name we pray, amen. Okay. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Jacoby. Appreciate you. Okay, the first opportunity, as we'll talk to, it's going to be very short because we're trying to make sure we give enough time for each candidate, for each opportunity to fulfill their requests and their discussion about your vote. And the first introduction I have is a lady that I've gotten to know for about 8 years, actually a little bit longer than 8 years, about 9 years. She and I really got to work together, at least from this amazing school district, and having the opportunity to provide things for not only for the paper but for the community and such. And I welcome Dr. Carla Evers the ability to talk about what's going on here with the school district and the community.
Good morning, good afternoon. I have my mornings and afternoons mixed up. My name is Carla Evers. I have the pleasure of serving as Superintendent of Schools. And this morning, on behalf of our school board, who we have our president with us this morning, Ms. Margaret Jean Califf. And we also have our assistant superintendent here. She's at the door, Dr. Robin Killebrew. And you're going to meet a few of our amazing students today. I would like to welcome you to our flagship. This is Pass Christian High School, as you well know. If this is your first time in this particular school building, I invite you to just kind of take a little tour of the building when this is all over. Today is an important day. We have our elected officials and those who are hopeful elected officials here today. They'll have an opportunity to speak about how they love our community and the things that they would like to see for our community. One of the things that I hope that all of you are proud of is the education that we provide in our community. You're sitting in the 4th highest performing high school in our state and the 6th highest performing school district in our state. And that is not by accident, that is by intentionality of our community, our parents, our teachers, our students, and all of you as a community. Now, one thing I tell everyone at Rotary, when I come to Rotary, I say that everyone in this room is a pirate. So whether your children go to school here or your grandchildren go to school here, or whether they go to one of our sister parochial schools, if you live in Pass Christian School District, I view you as a pirate because you are tax-paying citizens, and everything that we do is a direct reflection of your support for us. So thank you for all of your continued support. If you ever want to see any of our facilities, please reach out to us, and we'd love to showcase them with you. And one last thing, on March the 25th, put this in your calendar, in this room, we will have an arts showcase where we will have all of our performing arts as well as our fine arts on display. This is going to be a kickoff for a project that we hope to see an auditorium built in our school. We are currently the only school district that does not have its own auditorium, And we want you to come out and see what our children are capable of so you can understand why. And for events like this, we think that it would be certainly prudent for us too. So Hunter, thank you for hosting this. We look forward to hearing what the candidates have to say. And good luck, everybody.
Thank you, Dr. Evers, for everything you've done for the school and the community. Okay, the next speaker that we'll have coming up, I've gotten to know pretty well the last few years. I knew his family. I had a pretty long history with his family, at least got to know him, but of course he moved away a few years ago, and I've gotten to know him, though, the last really 4 or 5 years. And I will have to say, fact, it's time for Kirk Kimball to talk. Ward 3 Alderman, Kirk Kimball.
Thank you to everyone. Can you hear me? Let's switch. How about this? Is this better?
Speak a little bit.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Just briefly wanted to make a couple of quick points today as I run unopposed, and I will get to that in just a second. So Ward 3 started a movement in 2020, and under my leadership, we've accomplished many things. Is this better?
Yeah, it's a little bit of the echo in the gym. It's a little bit of the echo in the gym, so.
Is this better? Try to make it work. Maybe put double mics, will that help? Is this better? Is this better? Can you hear? All right, let's try this. Sorry, I apologize for all the technical difficulties. No, you can't hear? Will this one work? Is this better?
So in Ward 3, we started the movement in 2020, and under my leadership, I would like to explain what has gone on. That movement was taking care of business, getting things done. So for infrastructure, we have a 7-day state-funded sewer main replacement on North Street, $300,000 state-funded North Street paving project, $390,000 completed repairs to the small North Street bridge. $79,000 in completed drainage projects, $140,000 drainage repair approved again in 2025, $348,270 in paving projects completed, $381,545 approved paving projects again in 25, $601,000 approved for the intersection of Emerson North. So for infrastructure, this is a whopping $9,239,817. So we move forward. Economic development, we have 7 new developments totaling $61 million. One of those is a TIF infrastructure bond. It's going to begin in 26, and that's $35 million. Fiscal responsibility
Against budgets that I felt it basically outpaced our revenue stream. But I voted for the current budget because it made cuts. Blighted properties. We aggressively handled blighted properties in a total of about 58, still counting. 21 of those properties had not been cleaned since 2005. 2 structures were demolished. The Randolph Center, we've made necessary repairs to the heating system, HVAC, exterior and interior. Church Street Park, a park that was completely forgotten. We added electricity, power, We had outdoor lighting. We painted the courts. We've added water fountains, planted some trees, and restroom facilities. And we're still not done. For the harbor, we made necessary repairs to the decking, boat launch, bulkheads, facilities. Work is still continuing with Tideland grants and FEMA. For the Sportsplex, we pushed for legislation to begin the process. We identified city-owned land. Moving forward, we're in the first phase of a $10,500 engineering survey. School board, we made 2 new appointments and 1 reappointment. We worked on some legislation for the ordinance with the police department and the municipal court system. But all of this sounds great, but it would have never been possible without the good men and women that I serve with, and that's Alderman Torgerson, Alderman Pickett, Alderman Charlotte, and Alderman Sparkman. I would have never been able to accomplish any of that for Ward 3, and I would like to publicly thank them. We have the power of persuasion in Ward 3. We have the power of a vote, but we needed those guys to help us tremendously. We've worked with Supervisor Ladner, Representative Crawford, and State Senator Thompson. But in the end, I want to say this. I want to definitely thank the citizens of Ward 3 for giving me the honor, the privilege to serve you daily. It has been one of the greatest things in my entire life. I thank you greatly to every citizen and to Ward 3. And I want to close by saying this. In 2020, when I was elected, I made a pledge. And that pledge was basically no allegiance to any party, creed, color, sex, or religion. My only pledge was to you, the citizens. Whatever your needs were, I was there for you, and I continue to be. And hopefully, as we move forward, we'll do more together. And I really appreciate the citizens and to Ward 3. Thank you so much. That's the ticket right there. Let's get that mic going, because they need that.
You got it. Thank you, Alderman Kimball. I've known this man for pretty much since I was 7 years old, and we grew up playing golf together. And one of the first opportunities that I had was playing with my father in the Italian Open against Alderman-elect, who was recently unopposed, Greg Federico. Greg.
Thank you, Brother Dawkins. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, to thank all of you, because you're the reason that we're here. You're the reason that all of these men and women who have done so much for this city are here today. And I am very fortunate and humbled to our voters in Ward 4, who I will be representing, but I'll be representing all of our city on very many important matters. And I look to these men and women behind me for their guidance and their leadership, as I'm the novice. I'm the new kid on the block. And if it looks like I've been driving in a car for 7.5 hours, I have. I left Middle Georgia this morning at 4 o'clock. So it's been a long morning so far. But I am Greg Federico. I am 73 years old, excuse me. I moved to the great city of Pass Christian part-time in 1989. I became a member of the Harrison County Sheriff's Department in 1992, where I started my public service work, and moved here full-time to continue that job. I retired from the sheriff's office after 32 years in December. I was very fortunate that this board and this mayor had enough confidence in me 3 years ago to get me started in municipal government. And I was appointed to be on the Civil Service Commission for Pass Christian, where I've served the last 3 years. I look forward to the adventures ahead that lie over the next 4 years, working on a bigger scope to make sure that our city keeps moving in the direction that it's moving. You all love this city as much as we all do. My ideas and my goals, of course, I am very, as you can imagine, very pro law enforcement, very pro fire department, and very pro our public infrastructure. So that's where I look to go and work over the next 4 years. Thank you, and have a great rest of the afternoon. Thank you, everyone. Brother Dawkins, thank you.
Okay, here's now how we're going to get the debate to flow. I will now explain how the debate's going to flow. We will begin the candidates from Ward 1, Alderwoman Betty Sparkman and her challenger, Mr. Barry Dreyfus, and we will give them each 3 minutes to introduce themselves. They will be followed by rounds of questions. During these rounds, they will be directed to one candidate. We have 2 panels. We have the first panel, then we have the panel over here with the students from the Pass-Christian School District, all who will be eligible to vote at this time coming up soon. We have Ms. Victoria Thibodeau, Mr. Jacoby Johnson, and Mr. Joseph Daniel. And there will be 4 separate debates, of course, with this. There will be the introduction and the conclusion, and as well, there will be the panel questions and then a live audience questions. Now, I'm trying to see if I have one of my good friends, Tom Carpenter, is here. He promised me that he would be here, but of course, I don't think he's here yet. But I will do the selection of the live audience question, and I ask that, I love the live audience questions, that you state your name. This is not an anonymous thing. This is state your name, where you are from, even though I hope that you're from the city of Pass-Christian. I pretty much recognize most of the individuals from the city of Pass-Christian, and I would want you to ask an issue that would not target to a person, but target about an idea. And also the rules here is there is going to be no live video. We have live stream here. We followed on Facebook. I asked you guys, now you're allowed to take pictures. I'll welcome pictures, but no live stream from yourself, because we have live stream on the live video. And as we are here now, we will begin the questions, but of course we will begin the introduction. Alderwoman Sparkman and Mr. Barry Dreyfus.
Don't use which one?
You don't have to just use that one.
Oh, just use that.
Put these off. I'd use these are the live ones. Okay. All right. Alderwoman Sparkman.
Well, good afternoon, folks. Can you hear me? Great. My name is Betty Sparkman, and I have the honor of being the Ward 1 Alderwoman. A wise prophet, Woody Allen, once said, 90% of success is showing up. Well, being an alderman really requires a little more than showing up twice a month. But being an effective leader demands showing up at every opportunity and in every sense of the word. I show up by responding to every text, email, and phone call that I receive. Not to feel powerful, but because that is what a true public servant does. I attend every award ceremony, state of the city address, groundbreaking, and ribbon cutting. Not for the photo op, but to bear witness to the positive changes within our community and to celebrate this city's day-to-day heroes. I show up in the city offices to help organize storage closets and clear out empty offices. Not because it's fun, it's not, but because our city workers are understaffed and underappreciated. I spend time with city employees, making copies, labeling file folders, creating Excel spreadsheets, teaching software, and modeling good business practices, because our city employees deserve my time. Alongside Public Works, I sweep up bags of trash after a party robbery. Not for the glory, my back still hurts, but because a true leader does what needs to be done. I'm a Rotarian. I'm a Rotarian because I believe in its mission of service of self. I attend past high graduations and celebrations, and I read to the kids at the Boys and Girls Club because I believe a true leader acknowledges and nurtures the potential of our youth. Small businesses are the backbone of our city. I've created several small businesses here, and among other things, took 2 historic homes that had fallen into deep disrepair and brought them back to their full glory.
30 seconds, Ms. Betty. 30 seconds.
For the past 8 years, I've chaired Art in the Past because I believe in its mission. At my church, I lead mission trips. And this year, I was elected chair of the church's board of trustees. I showed up, and I work with purpose, with passion, and with a relentless commitment to making a difference here in past Christianity. Ward 1 voters, I'm asking for your vote on June 3rd in the general election. Together, let's continue to build a united community for a better future. Thank you.
Miss Betty, if you don't mind placing the microphone back in, not the one you're speaking of, the one that's hanging down. That's for the live stream. Thank you. Mr. Barry?
Thank you. My name is Barry Drapus, and I'm running for Ward 1 Alderman.
Mr. Barry, you mind? Yeah.
Sorry. Perry, can you hear me up there, Perry? Okay, if you can hear me, we're good. My name is Barry Drapus. I'm running for Ward 1 Alderman. I want to make it very clear, and she just made it very clear. My opponent, Betty Sparkman, is a good person. She has done a lot for the past. We both care deeply about the special place where we live together. We have our differences. It's evident in our campaign associations. I'm running as a Republican, and I tend to be physically conservative. I believe in surpluses, not deficits. I believe in keeping our reserves, not spending the reserves. I believe in spending the reserves, I believe in keeping our reserves, not spending them, sorry. Since this administration has been in office, past Christian has run a deficit spending every year. Just last week, the city clerk informed the alderman we had a deficit in 1 year of $896,000. That's $896,000. The mayor told the alderman we have the money in the bank. But that does not tell the whole story. Part of the money is the $2 million we just had to borrow for needed equipment and repair infrastructure. If you look at the last financial audit, 2022, we had deficit spending. We do not have an audit for 23 and 24. I had to spend thousands of dollars for advertising the Gazebo Gazette, letting the citizens of the past know we did not have an audit. What was the mayor's response? To call me an excrement stirrer, and he didn't use excrement. But we got a city audit, and we're on our path for a 2023 audit, although late. With my years of private sector business experience, including being a chief financial officer, I have a skill set that sets me apart with finance. I know I can be more effective in this area. I believe instead of being a yes vote for the mayor's agenda of measured growth, we concentrate on what we have. Measured growth sounds good, but it's only been measured by how much money we can spend. Let's concentrate on the things that make pass the pass. Let's trim our trees. Let's weed our gardens, take care of our parks, Fill the potholes in our streets.
30 seconds, Mr. Barry.
Stop speeding on our streets, take care of what we have, but most importantly, let's concentrate on all citizens of the past. The mayor by law is supposed to run the city with the approvals of the alderman. That is the reason why you've heard me mention the mayor and the administration. I am running for Ward 1 alderman, not mayor. It is imperative that as an alderman, I not be a yes vote for the mayor. I will be a yes vote for Ward 1 and for Pass Christian. I promise you this, I will not take a salary for being an alderman. I will be prepared for all meetings. I will send text and emails to all citizens when something comes up for the board that I need input on, and I will listen and respond with respect to all citizens of Ward 1 and Pass Christian. Thank you for coming today, and I look forward to your questions.
Okay, we will begin questions from Ward 1, from the panel 1. You will have 3 minutes if the question is asked to you, and then the responder, the rebuttal, will be a minute and a half, okay? 3 minutes and 90 seconds, and then the previous question that was asked to the opponent will get a minute for it to counter. So you'll have question, rebuttal, counter, okay? And the first question.
First, I'd like to say thank y'all for at least coming out and being part of this. It's a lot for the community to see you and what you're capable of and what positions you hold in this. So my first question is you for Mr. Dreyfus. In your view, what is the primary role of aldermen, and how would you prioritize serving your constituents within the city?
The primary goal of the alderman and serving the constituents of the city and my ward, correct?
Correct.
Primary thing is to make sure that you approve of the mayor's actions. You make sure that can you hear me now? You make sure that the mayor, his actions, as he sets the agenda, you approve those actions. Also, you are allowed to put things on the agenda. I've been speaking at public comments, emailing the mayor, my alderperson. Those are useless. So as an alderman, I will put forward ideas such as speeding on Espy, trucks going down Espy, the pothole on Spence, and things of that sort. But then when the mayor puts forward somebody like Ron Duckworth as a clerk, I would have objected, because if you did due diligence on him, you would have known he was not capable of the job. That's the stuff the alderman has to do. And for my ward, just go around talking to people. You know, I wanted to get the seawall on the agenda, on the vote, so that people could vote on it. We can all go back and forth and talk about it all day long. Let's vote on it, or let's all meet together and get a seawall we all want or we all don't want.
Alderwoman Sparkman?
Simple. It's simple. It's showing up for the constituents, and it's showing up at those meetings, and it is representing the people. It's doing the research. It's doing the reading. It's showing up.
I can't disagree at all. When the bond issue came up, I was the only one who had read the complete bond issue, and when one part of it, it was only a whereas, but one part of the bond said the city was going to borrow $5 million instead of $2 million. Malcolm had to correct it after the vote was taken. You study the agendas. You know you have to sign your MOU and have audited statements for every grant you get. You need to read it. Just like Betty just said, it's 207 pages sometimes, it's 37 pages. It's not what you get at the meeting. It's what you download from the city website and the packet, including the financials.
This question is from Ms. Sparkman. What steps should be taken to ensure that public meetings, financial reports, and major decisions are accessible to citizens?
Say that one more time. Sorry.
What steps should be taken to ensure that public meetings, financial reports, and major decisions are accessible to citizens?
we put the agenda and all of the packet that the board gets on the website. I think we can do a better job of reminding people to go to the website and to get everything there.
Microphone.
That is putting everything on our website. We already put the agenda and the packet on the website, but it's drawing more attention to those things. During this term, we have started live streaming the meetings and again, making the agenda more accessible to the people.
Mr. Dreyfus?
I agree. The other thing that I said in my opening statement, I will be emailing and texting the constituents. Nobody knew about the town green until it was too late. We need to get the message out better. As far as downloading on the website, I've called City Hall a number of times lately to get the agenda on the website because it wasn't there. The financials never made it there. We have to do a better job for the public. And I have to say, if y'all all can come to every board meeting, alderman meeting, that would be awesome.
Counter? Okay, thank you. Student questions.
This question is for Mr. Dreyfus. How should the Board of Aldermen enforce ethical standards to prevent conflicts of interest among city officials?
Say it a little slower. Did you hear?
Okay, I got it. How should the alderman enforce conflicts of interest on city officials? That's awesome. One of my first things I did at USMI, where I work, I caught our CFO stealing because she was buying her renovated closets off of company checks. It's due diligence. I would think the alderman board should be separated like our Congress and our Senate. We have Senate Armed Services Committee, we have House Armed Services Committee. You have people directly in charge of a certain section of the government. I'd love to do finance. I'd absolutely love to do finance. Report to the board and the mayor. So you have your areas of expertise. You would have parks and, beautification, the harbor. Each alderman would have to be in charge of that and make sure, as an oversight, it's going on. I've also been an auditor, so those type of things, you really have to look at it. You have to chase it down. Most of the time it comes to money. The Board of Aldermen voted that Malcolm Jones, our city attorney, is going to be paid extra because outside of his duties was the bond, so they agreed on a price. That's a good check and balance, but there's other things we need to look at. I don't think an alderman should be working in city offices when they're voting on things.
Alderwoman Sparkman?
What you're suggesting concerns me, that it is overlapping the legislative and the executive branch. I just don't see how that works.
It works in the Congress because the president can veto a bill, but the president's budget goes to Congress. Congress passes all the laws, and the president either says yes or no. So therefore, if, as an alderman, I said 60% of the funds in salaries for the last financial statements should be 67% left, that means we're overspending. The last financial statements show clearly we're overspending. $22,000 in over our budget, $11,000 for attorney fees, $11,000 to remove a boat from the harbor that we never budgeted for, needs to be brought up and addressed.
Alderwoman Sparkman, and then we'll give Mr. Barry Dreyfus a counter.
We have a finance director, an excellent finance director, who oversees all of that. I don't know how you budget for something that you cannot foresee, like a boat sinking in the harbor.
Mr. Dreyfus?
The cost incurred for the friendly annexation were voted on prior to the budget being done. It should have been in the budget. A $948 surplus for the budget will not cover anything. The budget should have at least $100,000 for those contingencies. That's what we do at USMI. That's why we have no debt. That's why our health insurance is $11 for a person, and everybody's 401k gets matched at 7% of their salary. We take care of people there, and it's just pretty much simple math.
Question?
This question is for Ms. Sparkman. Would you support the creation of neighborhood councils or advisory boards to give residents more input in city decisions?
Absolutely. Would I support creation of neighborhood advisory boards? Absolutely. Any neighborhood is certainly welcome to do that. I think it's an effective tool. Where I used to live, we had one. It was very politically active. Here, not so much. It has not been politically active. We have homeowners associations that are active. As a matter of fact, that was one of the ways that we were able to stop what was called Oyster Pass, which was 39 homes on a very small amount of land, wooded land, that was going to be turned into DR Horton homes. Because of homeowners associations and the neighbors coming together, we stopped that.
Mr. Barry?
Why do you ask the question? Where did that question come from? Do you feel you're not a part of the process?
Not specifically, no. I'm just reading off the paper I was given.
Look, people need to be a part of the process. I couldn't agree with Betty anymore. You know, citizen input is imperative. You know, it's real easy to say you're wrong after a lot of work. So yes, advisory boards, absolutely.
Ms. Betty? Okay. We will have now live audience questions. There aren't going to be more than 3 or 4. So if you would like to raise your hand, I will hand you the microphone. Mr. Ray, I know you are a citizen of Pass Christian.
Good afternoon. I'm Ray Johannes Meyer, Ward 1. Mr. Dreyfus, do you? Mr. Dreyfus, do you have a suggestion on how to balance the budget so we don't operate at a deficit?
All right, the question is, do I have a suggestion to balance the budget so we don't run a deficit? Absolutely. The budget workshop that I attended 3 nights straight, not 3 consecutive nights, but 3 times, I would look a lot deeper into it, meaning salaries, you have to, what I wrote my paper on, I didn't graduate from college, but I went to some classes. One of my accounting papers was the accrual of benefits. When people quit right now, we don't have those benefits accrued into the cost. So all their vacation time, holiday pay, or vacation time, any PTO they have will hit the books, and we don't have a budget for that. Micro into the budget. My dad always said, when you're making dollars, you count pennies. When you're making 5s, you count nickels. We made $111 million last year in revenue. We balanced $9 million to less than $1 every month. If you want to have dinner with me, I'll geek you out on figures all day long. But you're going to have to look at every single dollar you spend. And are we going to have cuts? Absolutely. I'm not going to joke with you. I'm not going to lie.
Ms. Betty?
No, I think part of your question is the city finances. And I need to get some things, get some facts out. As of February 28th, the city of Pass Christian had $850,000 in cash. That included $7.7 million in our checking account. And that $11,850,000 does not include the $2 million in the bond, from the bond fund, and it does not include over $1.5 million in FEMA reimbursements. Now, how do I know that the city has $11,850,000 in its check, in cash? I asked Marion. I could have run around. I asked Marion Governor, our finance director. I could have run around like some others do with my hair on fire, shouting innuendos, misstatements, and the like. But we have the money, and that is the fact.
Mr. Mayor.
First thing I teach people at USMI when I try to educate them about finance, doesn't matter what you have in your checking account. What's your liability? Our liabilities increased in the last financial statements significantly. So we may have a lot of money in there, but if we got paid tax dollars right now that we have to spend towards the end of the year, everything comes down to your budget. Spend less than you take in. That's it. And we have not done that.
And let me also add that for this current year budget, our revenues are looking strong, and we are at budget on our expenses.
Yes, sir.
Bill Walker. You mean cleaning out a desk is a conflict? Yes, I will tell you. His question is, how is it not a conflict for me to go to the code office and work there? And the answer is, what I do at the code office. Organizing the storage room, helping make copies, cleaning up the office of the planner who just left, getting on the floor and putting back to repairing a drawer that had been broken. I don't see the conflict. I did those things as a citizen.
Sir, you asked the question.
I just told you, Bill. And
Mr. Mayor, counter.
When I answered a question one time, this Navy SEAL looked at me and said, you know, that answer was totally unencumbered by knowledge. I don't know what's going on, so I really can't say anything on that. But I'd look into it. A conflict of interest, if, you know, she was in an office actually doing receipts, making deposits, doing different entries, absolutely that would be a conflict of interest.
Yes.
But her trying just to clean up stuff, you know, that's a great person.
Question? State your name, too.
At 140 SB Avenue. I am new to Pass Christian. I love it here. I wanted, and I moved here for the reason of a small community. Nice, quiet place where my husband and I can retire. We built a house on SB Avenue. I have, since we moved there, found that there are 18-wheelers coming down our street, which is a no-truck route, appointed by Harrison County as well. And they continue to come down the street, cars continue to speed down the street. Yet, 12 years from what I understand, this has been going on and it hasn't been solved. It's really easy. You get the police department to stop the 18-wheelers. You get the police department to write tickets for speeders. And I'm not talking just about Espy, I'm talking about 2nd Street, I'm talking about, I'm sure there's tons of other streets that I know I've heard from people that they're speeding and possibly 18-wheelers. What is going to be done if the budget for the police has been cut, from what I understand, 10%? How can that be fixed? And how can something be ignored for over 12 years when it's been brought to everybody's attention? Thank you.
Okay, so if you've noticed, in the last 2 weeks, Bob did a great job texting Kenny, the mayor, myself, and other people. It's an election year, so you got action. Bottom line. Prioritize. What are the priorities of the city? Obviously, for Ward 1, priority, no development in Kitty Wake. Spence has a big old pothole in it, and we need to stop that problem. It's not only that, it's the running of the stop sign. We can't put speed bumps in because it tears up city vehicles. Let's put rumble strips. Let's, as a neighborhood, fund it ourselves. I'll put up 50% of the money right now. Let's slow people down at that stop sign. As far as the truck route goes, if it's not a truck route, let's enforce it, period. And it'll be on the agenda of the Alderman meeting, every other meeting if I have to get it done. That's how I try to do it. And I said try, because it's 12 years. I'm not solving the problem tomorrow.
You said it very correctly at the beginning. It's priorities. We would love to be able to continually patrol Espy and get those trucks off. The fact is that we have one police officer who patrols all of Ward 1 and part of Ward 2. If they are sitting there during their regular time, stopping the occasional 18-wheeler, then that means that they're not. You and I have been through this quite a bit. The city truck ordinance talks about 18-wheelers. I don't think there are 18-wheelers going down there, but it exempts a lot of types of trucks, including city vehicles, and it also exempts panel trucks and things like that you have told me you do not think should be coming down to Espy. Espy is a great street. It's one of the few streets that larger vehicles can get down over the railroad. All I'm saying is it is priorities. We've worked out a solution where we are going to have off-duty police officers there at a cost to the city. And maybe as we start with these off-duty police officers randomly being there, giving out these tickets, that maybe we can slow that down. I personally have, you've given me the list of the greatest offenders. I've called them, I've reminded them that it's a truck route, and each time they say, we'll put up another sign.
Alderman Sparkman, we're going to close it now. Mr. Mayor?
Closing?
Yes, sir.
Okay, no bloods on the floor. That's cool. Thank you all very much for coming out. My cards are on the table. It's got my phone number on it. It's got the website on it. I didn't want to run for alderman. I got a job. I will not be able to do all the things that Betty does, go to every opening and everything else here. I will study hard. I will make sure at the alderman meetings I'm prepared. I will make sure to talk to the citizens of Ward 1. I will talk to you, I will listen to you, and I will hear you. We may not always agree, but I'll always treat you with respect. and I promise you, I can do the job of alderman. If I didn't think so, I wouldn't run. I didn't run for mayor because I didn't want to give up my job, but I know I can do this job. Thank you.
Yeah, I wanted to talk for just a minute. When reelected, here are some of the things that I would like to do. I want to continue to support those who are working on the city finances. I want to get the beautification department in a better space and also get Firehouse 1 renovation completed. I want to again ask the board to hold 2 to 4 public forums a year. I suggested that. I made a motion 2 years ago. Didn't even get a second from the rest of the board. So no more, they didn't want public forums. I want to resubmit a common sense noise abatement ordinance, which again, the board turned down. I want to create an ordinance that requires public utilities to get a permit to coordinate their work with public works, and also to come back and clean up the road after they've torn it up. I want to streamline the responsibilities and the processes for the tree board, and I want to help implement a plan to retain our staff. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, we're going to try to make it a little clearer, Mr. Possible, but I'm going to make sure that the speakers are working correctly. Now, introduce Ward 2, Alderwoman Gina Sharlow, and Challenger Mr. Joe Payne. Alderwoman Charlotte, you have the floor.
Thank you. Can everybody hear me? Can everybody hear me? Is that better? Okay. And I apologize, my sinus is ringing. I don't know where to say. Is that better? Can you hear me? First of all, I would like to thank Mr. Alderman for putting this debate together, and also Dr. Harris for the school allowing us to be here. For those of you who do not know me, I'm Alderwoman of Ward 2. I am a native of Pastor Stan. My family has been here since the beginning. And to move forward, I want to tell you when I first ran in 2017, I did not want to run. I was in the military and I had a full-time job. But the constituents came and asked me to run. I said, I don't have the time, I can't do it. Say you want, we'll support you and get you in MAT. And I thank them. I have always been for the people. I'm not a politician, so if you hear my voice sway or something like that, most people are not public speakers, and I've been doing this all my life. So if we sway, because I'm not a politician, I'm not going to get up here and tell you this, that, and a bunch of numbers. I'm going to tell you who I am. I speak for the people. I am the public servant. safety, because the camaraderie, the unity that we have, all the community together, get along together. It's safe. I still leave my keys sometimes in the room. And I want it to stay like that. If we have newcomers coming here, that's why they come here, because they like this is a residential, senior citizens town.
Alderman Charlene, 30 seconds.
So, thank you. For those who don't know, and thank you all for coming out today.
Mr. Pierce.
Good evening.
And I will tell you, Ms. Charlotte, if you stand behind the podium, you need for live stream. Okay. It's not so much for the audience, but it's for live stream.
Good evening. Can you hear me? My name is Joe Piernow Sr. I am running for Alderman of Ward 2. I bring a lot of experience to this position, basically because in 2001 I was elected Alderman of Ward 2. I spent 12 years as an Alderman of Ward 2. I spent 8 years as a Mayor Pro Tem. And how it became about was this young lady named Katrina came through town in 2005. Katrina tore up this town, left the city with one, I'd say, usable city building, which was the Eastern Fire Department, and 24 homes that you could live in. And we worked hard. I wouldn't put this on any one of the aldermen that's currently in office, trying to rebuild after Katrina, because I'm telling you, it was tough. You know, and I drove back and forth from Jackson for 3 straight weeks, because I had no place to stay. Finally, I got to the point where I'm working from sun up to sundown in the past. I just backed my truck in my driveway and went to sleep. And got up the next morning and continued to rebuild this town. One of the first things people asked for, rebuilding this town, was we need a library. We need a library with computers so we can start recovering. I worked at DuPont at the time. I called the plant manager. She said, what can I do for you? I said, we need a library. They donated a double wide trailer and these computers. And we put that in the city park and got it going. It was tough times. And I mean, it was tough for a lot of people. Dead bodies was on the street for weeks. And we as city leaders had to figure out what to do. And as we worked and as we progressed, we started rebuilding our town. It was tough. In New Orleans in 2009, their resurrection was the Saints won the Super Bowl. That kind of helped build morale for New Orleans. Well, in 2009 in this town, our high school boys basketball team won the state championship. That helped us a lot. Because we made sure the school, we made sure the Boys and Girls Club got all the resources they need. I have the experience to bring that back. I worked at the local, state, and federal level. I still have a lot of those connections. You know, when you're an alderman, you have to do your due diligence. I hear a lot of times at the city council meeting, well, this is the first time I've seen this, so I never got that. Get off your butt and go find out. I was the type of person that if you called me about something, I went out and looked at it, touched it, and felt it. Because I believe, you know, you have to work for your people. We had to change the code from 33% damage to your home before you tear it down to 50%. So people with 4 walls and a roof was able to rebuild. And that was over half the community. And we was able to get by with that. You know, I worked with the Boys and Girls Club, helped them rebuild. I helped bring back Jazz in the Past, have a wonderful team that brings Jazz in the Past every Memorial Day weekend. And I tell y'all, this year we bringing Rockin' Dukes. I don't know if y'all ever heard of him, but we bringing him back to town. I have 30 seconds, and I got about 5 minutes of talking. I'm just kidding. I'm a director of a food pantry here in town called Christian Concern Ministry, where we feed the needy. That was a food pantry that was going to close down several years ago. I was called to come and ask help, and I took it over. And I have some great volunteers that help come in, and we serve the community. I was named 2023 Outstanding Citizen of the Year just last year for the things that I do in this town, because I love this town. I raised my family in this town. My wife, my kids, my grandkids go to this school because we think it's a fantastic school. Thank you.
Question 1. My question will be for Ms. Charlotte. What should be done about and black properties and what policies should the board of already enact to address it?
Thank you. We do have our ordinance and policies in place for the property. And we've had multiple lately a little difficult because of the code office and with the, employees that we had coming and going. So it's taken us a while to get back where we, need to be. But we also have, the people call me, I've had people call me. I have gone out there, looked at the property, went to the code office and make sure it can be addressed. I've done that since I've been in my tenure here and as Alderman of Ward 2. So it has been done, it could be better, and hopefully in the future we will get it better once we get the code office and all those employees up to where they're supposed to be. You're welcome.
Mr. Piernas?
Same question? You know, it's kind of a shame in 2025 we still have to deal with blatant property that occurred back in 2005. But it happens. A lot of people had their homes destroyed, they got their check from the insurance company, and they left. And they left with the city to deal with it. Slabs, overgrown property. It's something that you have to work on constantly. I think the code office needs one individual to work just on that. Just on that, and we can get this town cleaned up. Of course, it's a process. You have to give them warnings. You have to give them a letter. You have to take them to court. You know, finally, if they don't, you know, you have to give them the opportunity to clean it up. Of course, a lot of them don't. That's why they're still here. But we have to be diligent on keeping it on the agenda for every meeting and saying, hey, where are we at on this? I know we talked about it 2 weeks ago, a month ago. Where are we at on it? And we shouldn't have, in 2005, still have properties, 2025, still have this problem to deal with.
Ms. Charlo?
We have been working on that, and especially with this current board. We have a list, and we have been doing it every month, in every ward. But like I said, we had employees leaving and coming in the code office for whatever reason, and we're training them, and they get a good offer, they may leave. But we have to look at what is our priorities. Blatant property is serious, but when the board is faced with something else that is more emergency, fixing the new drainage and sewer and stuff, it takes us away from just doing things, but the properties that need to be cleaned up. It is on our agenda. We have done it. I'm pretty sure we'll get back to it. Like I said, we just furnished the code office, but it had 4 employees. Now we're down to 2. The 2 ladies have quit. So it has been addressed. Right now, it may not be, but it will be in the future. Thank you.
Question 2. Ms. Moran?
For the past 3 years, economic development needs short-term rentals. What policies should the Board of Aldermen support to improve city infrastructure and promote economic growth and community growth without short-term rentals?
Oh, okay. Okay. You say to promote short-term rental? You say what economic development we can do to promote?
To promote in city infrastructure and economic growth, but also
Well,
community growth.
around town, you can see a lot of development going on, particularly with drainage. On North Street, you see it, on some of the side streets. She wanted to know what would we do to improve the infrastructure and increase the economic development of bringing in short-term rentals. Was that right? And community growth. You know, my thing on short-term rentals is a good thing, but I don't want every house on my street to be a short-term rental. Okay? I don't. So short-term rental growth should be held to a minimum. I like the policies the city currently have in place. Maybe it can be tweaked. But as far as infrastructure, they're currently working down North Street to improve the drainage. It's an inconvenience for right now, but when it's done, it's going to be better for us. They're working on some of the side streets. We have some infrastructure that's been in place probably since Camille that we need to look at. You know, I'm glad they're looking at the bridges. We have some bridges that's in pretty bad shape, and they're starting to work on them. We need to make sure that we go out and get the federal funding we need so the taxpayers is not burdened with that cost. We need to continue to write grants to bring that money down here for us to improve our town, to improve our infrastructure. Yeah, I'll talk about short-term rentals, but we're not going to talk about a casino.
I don't want that to become a thing, so if you have another idea.
Alderwoman Charlo.
As far as the short-term rentals, I think if you've been listening to the meetings and come to the meetings, you know where I stand. It's a good idea, but we are a small town. And to be honest, right now, I think our cap is at 175. I'm not sure what we have right now. Should we have some? Yes, but we need to go back and relook at it, because right now, from what I'm hearing and understanding from citizens and the code office, it's not such a great thing. I've also seen homes that were STRs, and now they're being up for sale or for rent. So we just have to be careful with that. And I was very adamant on that when we talked about about the short-term rentals, of how we need to make sure that the communities are coming out. The citizens in the community, they were very concerned about, hey, I got a short-term rental. We're in a neighborhood, a subdivision, and we have children. And we have to be very careful with these times. Because with children in our neighborhood, we've got individuals that are not from here, and we are residential children and senior citizens place. We need to be careful with STRs. One thing about economic development, it can be done. When I was in 1992 voted as deputy clerk here in the city, after 4 years there, 8 years as a water manager, I saw the growth in here. It grew. Our population was 68. We were headed almost towards 10. You had growth throughout the city. You got Walmart. You had General Dollar. You had McDonald's at the time. And you had residential homes from east to west.
Alderwoman Charlo, you got 30 seconds.
Thank you. So it can be done. If we're looking at economic, it needs to be throughout all the city, because all of us pay taxes, and not just one area. So thank you.
Mr. Piernos.
As far as economic development goes, when I first got in office, we had Winn-Dixie over here on Henderson Avenue. Winn-Dixie, Rite Aid, and the cleaners. People didn't want it. People were against it. You know, then it closed down. Just as it closed down, Katrina hit. We had Walmart. We was bringing Walmart in, and people didn't want Walmart. And I was told by a gentleman, Mr. George T. Watson, said, "Joe, understand something. People won't change in the community. They just don't want it in their backyard. So you got to be careful where you put it." You know, every time that we talk about doing something, you have oppositions for, oppositions against. So it's kind of tough when you want to bring economic development in. When you want to bring businesses in, people say, why the city doesn't do more to bring businesses in? Well, we don't have the land to bring businesses in town. You guys have the land. So we have to approach y'all and say, hey, would you like to sell or lease your property so we can bring in something? We had the McDonald's before the storm. They had a 99-year lease.
30 seconds, Mr. Piernos.
And the storm took it away. We had a local family had a hamburger joint down there. You know, and all that's gone now. So it takes us working together. If we want to bring business in this town, it takes us working together. We can go out and get the business. You guys have the land. We got to meet in the middle.
Thank you. Hold on 1 second here. Student questions.
This question is for Ms. Charlo. Are there any careers or qualifications that you look for when selecting a school board member?
Yes, I'm looking for something. Oh, I'm sorry, she asked, is there any qualifications that I on this board, the city board looks for when we hire someone on the school board? From my experience, I think that we should have someone that knows education, been in it. I think they should know students. I think they should know what's going on in our community and at our schools. And I think that should have an open relationship to whoever come on that board, that they're willing to work with not just the board members of the city, but also with the parents in the school district. And then you have some people that do not have students, but they pay taxes. So I think it should be an open communication. I think they should have qualifications of education, understanding what's going on in the state with education, and also what's going on with the city's elections in the city, what's going on in our city.
Mr. Piernas?
I feel we should have qualified candidates. Candidates that have the proper education, the proper business know-how on how, because basically our school is a business and it needs to be run that way. We have a great superintendent, assistant superintendent, and school board in place. And as we come up for renewal, I think we need to make sure we have the proper people in place. The process used to be the mayor would select someone to put on the school board and present that based on information from the board, and then the board vote on it. And I think we should go back to that because right now, a lot of aldermen are being pressured to vote for certain people, and that shouldn't happen. You know, the school board selection, it should be honest, it should be open. It should be people that have a love for this school, have a love for children, have a love for education. And that should not waver in any kind of way. So when you have a school district like this one, you always want the best of the best to keep it going.
Alderwoman Charlo?
Yeah, I agree with him on something. We do have a process. Whoever goes for the school board has to give us their resume. That's one thing. But we also have an ordinance, and I think we need to follow the ordinance. So when we get the resume, we get all the board, the mayor, board of aldermen, we get the resumes up front. We can review them and look at them, and then we get to vote on it. So it's not like there isn't a process there, not like we can't see what the resume was. We do have one in place, so thank you.
Question?
All right, this question is from Mr. Pinos. Do you feel it is important that each alderman be present at a school district function or a school fundraiser to provide support? And if so, would you work with the school district to organize an event in your ward?
Absolutely. But you also have to realize each of the aldermen have a life, they have a career, but as much as possible, they should attend. I always attended the football games, the graduations, basketball, any event the school had. I was happy to support the school because, like I say, they're teaching our children for the future. They're going to take our place in the future, and we want to make sure they get the best education. We want them to know that we support them 100% any and everywhere they go. I followed the championship team to Jackson. You know, I witnessed them win the state championship. And I think it's important that our kids see that we there for them on any and every occasion that we can.
I agree too. We do have other lives and it is kind of hard to do. I have grandchildren in all three of the schools and I try to make all the events and so for graduation. It's kind of complicated when you got other responsibilities outside the school district. But also you can support in other ways. When people call me to sponsor things and to games and so forth, I try to do that. So yes, if you can't be there, it's fine, but just know it's not always possible. So yes. And I support the children 100%. I subbed here as a substitute teacher, and I've been teaching Sunday school for over almost 30 years. So I do support our students, yes, I do. And even I'm with a nonprofit, John Wayne Randolph Education Culture and Heritage. We found out baking was a big thing. We even did a workshop last year at the library with the superintendent and the principals on baking. So yes, I do try to stay involved, and I think yes, let me finish this. Thank you.
You know, like I said earlier, I have grandkids to go to the school. And sometimes when I come to school to drop something off, I don't have to introduce myself. They say, oh, we know who you are. Your granddaughter told us who you are. And one thing I'd like to see the school do is change soccer season. Because I have a grandson that's in soccer. He's been in soccer since a little bit. Listen, y'all, it's cold in January out there. But we out there watching our kids. We're out there watching our kids and grandkids play. But I'm just joking about moving. Don't move it because they love it. They out there in their shorts and T-shirts in 20 degrees running around the field. But I truly believe we should all support our children, not just the mayor and the board of aldermen, but the community. Let's support our children.
Okay, we have some live audience questions. Please feel free to raise your hand and state your name and address. Anyone's here who wants to ask questions? Any hands?
Come on, somebody, give us one.
We did a good job.
Well,
He don't count.
I'll let you get one quick.
We don't count. We did a good job, you know.
What are we going to do for affordable housing north of the tracks for our workers in Pasadena that can't afford to live in
that are affordable. I've been saying that. I'm also looking at someone working with, bringing homes to the city. I'm looking into that right now. I don't have anything permanent, but yes, I agree with you, we do. I think while we're out looking for loans for everything downtown and everything, we should be looking at loans and grants and things for all people, affordable housing and so forth. We definitely need it. North of the tracks has not grown like it was. I've been there all my life. I have people that call me, Miss Regina, do you know where I can rent or buy a home? Basically rent. And there's really nothing here. I've even had a conversation with Dr. Harris where she asked me where there's some. They're not. They love it here. They want to stay here. They want to come in, but we don't. But I do agree we need to do something about it. I do. Thank you for that question.
Mr. Berry, I think, Mr. Pernos, the question was about affordable housing north of the tracks.
As a realtor, that's not a plug. But when people build houses around here, it's not cheap to build a house. It's very difficult to build affordable homes. You know, I have a list of clients. I have a 2-page list of people looking for affordable homes because, number one, they want to bring their kids to Pastor Stan to go to the Pastor Stan School District. That's one of the first questions I get. What type of school district do you have? But to bring people in, mainly like single parents, and I don't like dividing this town by rural tracts. I really like the rural tracts go away. You know, this is our town, the whole town. So no matter where we should be able to work together to we can put affordable housing, but it's tough. Some contractors, you know, the price of everything is going up, it's going to continue to go up. So to say, maybe we can work with past estates and veteran estates. You know, their term is coming up and they're going to want to be selling. Maybe we can get some investors to work with them to put some affordable, you know, take over those complexes and give affordable housing to the people, the first responders, the teachers, the nurses, the people that can afford to live in this community. We don't want to outprice this community. We want to make this community affordable for everyone.
And we have closing statements now, Mr. Pernos.
In conclusion, why am I running? I want to bring respectability back to the board. And I'm going to tell you why I say that. I have family in California, Vegas, Virginia. They streamlined the Board of Alderman meetings. And they said, what the heck is going on with y'all Board of Alderman meetings? We have been compared to in the newspaper as the Jerry Springer Board of Aldermen. And that's embarrassing. That's embarrassing to me. I don't know how you feel about it, but we should be professional. We should be respectable as a board. If you don't like me, all right, and respect me for that hour and a half we're sitting up there. Don't call names. Don't attack people. Don't purposely delay something just to make it just seemed lately. The last meeting I went to, which was Wednesday, 5 of the first 6 items was tabled. I couldn't believe it. And it was all different discussions. One was the sidewalks in Pastor Stan, and I'm a big proponent for sidewalks. If that kills me, then I'm sorry. But I feel mainly on North Street, our children, our students that go to these school districts should be not walking on the street. They should be walking on the sidewalks. Yeah. And they want sidewalks throughout the rest of the town. That's fine. That's okay. But I'm mainly talking about, because I almost hit somebody. I had a nephew get hit, you know, because they're walking on the side of the street. So we need to make sure we set our priorities. That was one of the ones that was tabled. We should be moving forward to that. That's going to be hot on my agenda every time we come to a meeting, almost at least once a month. Let's protect our children. Let's protect our citizens so they have safe places to walk, to run. Let's take care of one another. You know, our board members should be attacking employees. Okay, yeah, it's election year, but you shouldn't be attacking employees. Run off your own credentials. That's what I want to see done. Let's bring professionalism, let's bring dedication, and let's bring teamwork back to our mayor and board of aldermen.
Thank you. Alderwoman Sherwood.
Thank you. I'm seeking your support for this election to stay as your alderman of Ward 2. When I ran on my platform in 2017, I was for transparency. We do have that at City Hall. The sidewalks, yes, that was in my first tenure with Chipperman McDermott. We first phase is already here from Cedar to the school. The next is the way the other phases is going to be. But also we have to look at where's the money coming from. Even though it was 1.5 million, we still had the max on. I am not for, we had Mr. Drivers talking about our budget. Yes, we need to get a more better handle on it, and I'm not for all that spending. I also don't think our city needs to be compared with other cities as market values, because right now, we are a small city. We have over 5,600 people. Our budget shouldn't be spending no more than 6 to 7 million. We need to get control on it. And how we have such a bad turnover right now, and we don't know what our bottom line is. We had employees that left and gone, and they left us in a bind. We had to find somebody else and get them back into that position and keep going. We know we're getting revenue and taxes. My motto has always been, I do not want to raise taxes on your own. And I don't think we have to. I think everything that's been addressed here now, from affordable housing to paving sidewalks to getting people involved in city hall, I'm all about transparency. We have got people throughout the city. When the harbor came up with the green space, each one of us aldermen chose a person from our ward, and they got a committee together. Yes, we need to keep on doing that, but it takes all of us. It's not just me up here sitting in Ward 2. I don't just represent Ward 2. I represent everybody that's in the city. And yes, I do want us all to come together. I've been in this city. I've seen where we all can come together, work, and get what's needed for all of us, because we all pay taxes here. Also, I was making sure, when I first got here on my first term, we had our babies out there on freeways with no lights. No lights. Out that night, that has been taken care of. I got calls about fleas south of the tracks. There's a bumper there.
Alderwoman Shirley, you have 30 seconds.
Thank you. And to move forward, yes, I am for the county. I wanted to see it to move forward, but I want to see it to move forward for all of us. I want to see more infrastructure, homes, and everything north of the track. I've got 3 bridges in my ward that are crumbling. I would like to see to be fixed. But also, even though I know we said we have $11 million, y'all need to understand something. That's grants and loans that has got us to them. And we also need to be concerned about, we're not going to get all the grants and loans. The federal government's already cutting. So we have to be very meticulous about our budget, I agree, and when we move forward. But the police department didn't get a raise, nobody got a raise. So we're trying to get a handle on it. It wasn't just the police department, it was throughout the whole city. So please, if you like what I've done and you want to support me, I thank you. Also, one last thing, please vote. If you have not registered, I do have some forms on the table where I'm at to register. If you register, you cannot vote in the primary because it's too late. But if you register now, you can still vote in the general on June the 3rd. You also have absentee ballots coming up in May, on May the 5th, and on the 24th will be your last one to vote. So regardless of who you vote for, please, if you're not registered, fill out the application. You leave it on the table, I'll make sure you get turned in.
Thank you, Alderman.
And one last thing, if you don't want the form, vote.gov, you can do it online. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. Thank you. And now we will have the Alderman at Large candidates, Victor Pickens, Scott Dodd. Alderman Pickens, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you. Which one of these was working? Is this one working? Okay, that works. Can everybody hear me? Okay. All right, good. My name is Victor Pickens. I've been the Alderman of Ward 4 the past 12 years. I'm seeking your support as Alderman at Large for the city of Pasquotank. Okay. If elected, I will continue to serve with honor and integrity for the families like yours and mine, for the people who are proud to call Pasquotank home. I will continue to be accessible and accountable for issues brought to me and concerning my ward, or not only my ward, but the whole city. So, with that being said, continuing to get things done, I want to go through and I want to remind everybody that, yes, it is my ward. I have worked outside of my ward for the entire city of Pasquotank. So, whenever you come to these political things, they want you to say I. But without the help of the board voting with me, these are not just an I project. But over the past 12 years in my ward, I've completed and paid $3.6 million in paving. The 2-year list of paving that we've been waiting on, that was approved and put on the mayor's list of high priority, I have another $300,000 in paving coming. I've also torn down 6 blighted houses. I've helped other aldermen in their ward complete the task of tearing down houses and cleaning up blighted properties. One of the things I'm most proud of, when I was first elected within the first 2 years, I had a $179,000 project to actually install larger culverts and raise the entrance on Henderson and Royal Oak Boulevard. I've also worked in different communities installing speed humps and also speed signs to help the police actually police and do their job. I've also completed, with the help of Alderman Kimball and the rest of the aldermen, we have another $246,000 coming in for a state aid road, which is Henderson Avenue, to widen the 4-way and install new culverts under the street. So we can go on and on. I've got basketball courts installed. We have over $100,000 in playground equipment coming for our children. With the help of Ward 3 Alderman and Kenny Torgerson and Miss Regina Charlo, we've replaced the equipment at Church Park. I led the committee with the former fire chiefs to purchase 2 new pumper trucks. I'm still fighting for proper housing for our firemen. I'm still fighting for a ladder truck. I'm still fighting to replace our non-working fire hydrants. I also fought to approve, but we could not fill the position to have 1 police officer per ward. I've also worked with the chief for higher response vehicles to help people in our rainy season and flood. I helped bring dispatch back into the local police station to reduce response times for the citizens of Pass Christian. That's the whole community, not just Ward 4.
30 seconds.
Okay. Also fought for more police cars on the street, as well as policemen. I established the golf cart law. I passed the Craven law to get it out of our schools and off our streets for the entire city. I also championed golf cart law, entertainment districts to help spur small town businesses and keep them here. I also, in the big fight with the parking lot, I helped my candidate expand his business, expand the city parking, and keep downtown business going. I'm a leader that's here to fight for you, and I have continued, and I will continue to be that person as Alderman at large. Mr. Nolan.
Good afternoon, everyone. That's not very enthusiastic response. We're going to get through this, though. A little bit about my background and why that may assist in being an effective alderman at large. Better? I have been the chief operating officer of a large publicly traded company for decades, until very recently. And I also created and started with my business partner a small business here in Pass Christian that has now grown to 3 locations, 26 employees. The reason I mention that is because you have to know what your finances are. You have to know what your budget is. You have to know how much money you can spend. There's no such thing as deficit spending or bond issues when you're running a business. You have to account for every dollar. Additionally, 2.5 years ago, the governor appointed me to the Mississippi Arts Commission. That's a $10 million budget where we have to ask for money every year. I'm also president of the book festival that occurs every year in Jackson. The reason I mention those 2 things is in both of those cases, we're asking for public money and we have to spend our money prudently. In fact, when I was appointed to the Mississippi Arts Commission by our governor, it was relayed to me, he said, we want Scott on that commission. We need a business person with all those artists on that commission to be sure that money is being spent properly. My point there is, I'm familiar with corporate accounting. I'm also familiar with public entity accounting. I also want to pledge to you, and those of you that know me know this is the case, I'm calm, stable, dependable. I'm used to working through situations where people have differing opinions and trying to get to a solution in a calm, stable, dependable fashion. One of the things I'm going to advocate for is that on a quarterly basis, we publish our financial statement on the city's website. We should do that every quarter so that we know where we are and what we have. I support the police and the fire department for a safe community. They've done an outstanding job, and I want to continue to support them. I also support infrastructure improvements for the entire community. We have work to do there. We have some things that need to be repaired. We've got to think through how we're going to fund those things on an ongoing basis. All this experience that I have in the business world and in the quasi-public world with the various commissions, I think can benefit the city of Pass Christian by being a calm, dependable, experienced alderman at large.
Question 1.
This first question will go to you, Mr. Peevich. Many of the citizens of Pasco Shan feel that City Hall lacks the transparency, leading to the inefficiency and inconsistency. Which policies would you propose to make operations more available to the public?
Make more policies available to the public. That was the end of
Well, the question was about inefficiency and inconsistency.
I can believe I'll read it, Mr. Johnson.
Sorry, I couldn't hear it at the end. I'm sorry.
No problem, I'll try again. Many citizens feel that City Hall lacks transparency, leading to inefficiency and inconsistency. What policies would you propose to make operations more available to the public?
Well, it's very simple. You can post them online, but the policies that you have to have moving forward in City Hall is that you have to have the right people doing the right job. You know, right now, we have terrible mismanagement in the office. So actually, we're looking to get our comptroller back in. So that would have been one of my first things. We have to give her the tools she needs to run City Hall effectively. You know, like I said, we still have a big problem with our audit. I offer anybody to file a Freedom of Information Act to see what current investigations are going on. But you know, you have to have accurate numbers. That's the biggest part. So I think a great office staff for Ms. Governor, our clerk, is the biggest part. But actually, the transparency should come in through weekly meetings with the mayor, and those notes should be posted online. And we should have someone managing the city. It's management. One of the biggest things that I can bring to the alderman at large position is management. You have to have effective leadership and a chain of command to where you can carry out the day-to-day operations of the city. You have to have someone on the street talking to the citizens, bringing in legitimate problems. We can't go out looking for trouble and bringing it back into our city. Every day, you're talking to a guy that knocks on doors. I sleep with a pad by my bed to actually get up so I can make notes to start doing the work and before I even bring it to the board. Right now, we don't have effective leadership and we don't have effective chain of command. So therefore, our department heads are left to run their departments on their own with no leadership from City Hall. So I think that would be the first thing that I would bring: organized leadership and accuracy to our city.
Mr. Noggle?
One of the first things I would do is, transparency is absolutely critical. At the alderman meetings, I would ask that each of the department heads always be present and available for questions. In fact, I would ask that each meeting we highlight one of the departments, we talk through it, we understand who's in the department, and that department head is available to answer questions. But it's much like the corporate world. There should be no secrets anywhere. Constructive criticism is critical. That's how we improve. We need to be sure that everyone is heard, and that includes citizens, and that includes the people working in those departments. They often have the best ideas for how to improve. They often ask for things, and they're not granted. We need to be sure that they have the right tools, and we need to be sure that they're available to answer questions, whether it's an alderperson meeting or another format.
Mr. Pickett's counter?
Sure.
The tools are correct, but each department head should be able to come to you, and you, as the alderman, should be able to, as the alderman at large, should be able to collectively meet with the other aldermen to come up with a solution to provide them with those tools. Right now, we do not have, or the issue stations right now, we've got the infrastructure integrity, we're under investigation for our finances, and we have no structured work order system. So whenever you go out and you see a person and you're trying to pave that street, or you're trying to fix the drainage that's under the street, the biggest problem now is we don't know what's under it. Might be a small hole, might be a water tap cut, that Webster did 2 years ago for a new construction. But under that concrete, we don't know. So it takes the alderman to get out there and get it done and carry the ball all the way to the meeting to where we can get it approved. We cannot, it's there, any alderman here will tell you it's not an easy task right now. 2 days ago, I was out on the street, I had Larry and Kirk with me, trying to figure out what we can do. I carried the work order into Public Works, and so now whenever it gets to City Hall, I can get you, the citizen, your issue fixed. It shouldn't be like that. We should be able to call, have an effective chain of command to fix the common problems. Right now, one more second, the line we walk between new construction and existing citizens.
30 seconds.
Is exactly that, it's a line. We walk in and we have to figure out every day how to fix the problems. There is no set way, and I think an experienced alderman at large can go to each alderman and help. I have the knowledge, I do it every day, to help them carry through the process to get their issues fixed. All the work is on the alderman.
Next question.
This question is for Mr. Naughton. How can the Board of Aldermen support small businesses and encourage local investment?
The question was, how can the Board of Aldermen support small businesses and encourage local investment? Well, that was a question handmade for me, I can tell you. One of the great things about Pass Christian and why my business partner and I created a business here is because of the community, all of you, and the fact that the city was very supportive. Our mayor at the time, it was 23 years ago, was very supportive of what we were doing. And anytime I would call him, he was responsive. Now, my point of that is, within the city itself, there were people, Peggy Johnson was in the sign department or the code department at that time. She was very helpful. In many ways, I think we had that platform, and I think we still have it. It's a very difficult and expensive decision to open a business, and then you expect to live off of it. So you're really under the gun day and night. What the city can continue to do is support local businesses, buy local every time you can, whether it's gasoline or decorations or having a meal out. The more that you can support local business, that pays it forward. And that's what gives us the impetus and the enthusiasm. For example, in our case, we started out with one location, one employee. Now, 23 years later, we have 3 locations, may have a 4th soon. We have 26 employees, many of whom live in this city, pay taxes in this city, the money stays in this city. Amazon's not involved, it's us. And we create jobs and we create tax-paying positions. The city already does much of that. It's a great place to live. Who wouldn't want to be here?
Alderman Pickett.
In your opinion, out of the alderman, who's the alderman that's worked with you the most to expand your business? Put you on the spot there.
Well, that is putting me on the spot. Let me give a political answer. You're all very helpful.
I love it, t-shirt. All right, so we go with the bugs there. You know, well, one of the biggest things that the city can continue to do to promote small business, yes, number one is buy local. Number two, we need to attract small businesses here. You know, I know space is hard in Pastorship, downtown commercial property. We have to have people who are willing to make the commitment to actually pay the taxes, pay the insurance to be here. You know, way back when, I was involved with our previous mayor with bringing in the Hampton Inn Hotel, and it was a painstaking process to say, but it all came down to black and white numbers. So I think, and you know, we lost the deal, but then we recovered in Pastorship fashion. And one of the things we need to do is we need to keep our options open, and we need to keep tax incentives. We need to keep our downtown development going. We need to attract businesses in that way that shop local, buy local, and also you as a city official, you know, my wife keeps me more on task than I'd like to admit, but we buy local every year. Christmas, birthdays, holidays. We try to buy everything that we can local to support those businesses and keep them here in town. Student question.
Many high school seniors are first-time voters. Why should they pass over you? And for those deciding not to go to college, how would you provide opportunities for employment within our city?
Jacoby, was that for me?
That's for Mr. Page.
Okay. All right. First-time voters. That's a good question. You know, every year our high school turns out great young men and women that are entering the workforce. You know, I would encourage folks not go into college to learn a trade, to work, to open their own business, do something that they love. I graduated from Mass High, to the University of Southern Mississippi. I'm a chef, and I knew I wanted to do that from the moment I got out of high school. And I worked hard, and I was able to accomplish things in my life. The other thing that I would do to encourage them to vote for me is I'd like them to vote for experience, because whenever they're like me and they have a young family and they're in town, you want to raise a family here. It's one of the things that I work on constantly. We need a place for you to play that's safe. We need proper equipment in our parks, great schools, which we have. And, you know, I think the continued experience in leadership and keeping our town on the right path to show them that this is a town that can grow without losing its charm or character. But you want this here. You want the safety. You want the unity. In Pastor Christian, I've always felt the whole community as one family. You know, and you want safety for your children. You want to be able to raise a family and make a living here because it's a great place to live.
Mr. Noggle?
Being involved in the political process or representative government from as early.
Sorry.
Sure. Being involved in the political process or representative government, I think is important to begin as soon as possible, as early as possible. These three young people, Jacoby, Victoria, and Joseph, are here demonstrating that. They are involved, they're representing the school very well, and they're asking intelligent questions. I think that's important because we get the government we deserve. We get the government that we vote or don't vote for. That's why I think we all have to be involved. One of the great good things about government is you do encounter a diversity of opinion, and you do encounter a diversity of background and thoughts. That's what makes this such an interesting job, and what makes the Alderman at Large position so desirable is hearing what other people think, working through issues, trying to find common ground. It makes us a better city, it makes us a better state, and it makes us better people in learning how to compromise and find solutions.
Alderman Pickett, counter?
Well, it makes a difference with experience where you're actually going out and you're doing things that are going to prolong the character of the community for the future. As young students get out and they go to school or they start a job, then police and fire, so they'll know the community, and we won't lose that sense of everyone knowing everyone to where we can keep people safe. It's a big part of community policing. I think that would attract any young man or woman that has a family, and whether they work abroad in New Orleans or out of state, they know that their family is safe here at home. Also, this is a tough place to live because we're surrounded by water on 3 sides. We have to be able to respond to that. And that's one big issue that we have that I keep going daily. I'll never let up on that, and I will never back down to keeping our town and our first responders prepared to keep our families safe.
Next question.
Mr. Noggle, would you vote for a school mill increase in the annual budget if it was beneficial for the school district but not to the taxpayers?
Would I vote for a school millage?
Would you vote for a school mill increase?
If it was beneficial for the school but not beneficial for the community?
Right, if it benefits the school but not the taxpayers.
Joseph, I think that's a false negative. If it's got to benefit the school, benefiting the school would benefit the community. And I think voting for something that would benefit the school would benefit the community. However, before I would vote for a school tax millage increase, I'd have to have a whole heck of a lot of information as to why we would be increasing taxes. And that information could be, are we doing everything as efficiently as we can? Can we find some savings? Is there another way to do it? Voting for a school millage tax increase is something, I'm not going to be George H.W. Bush who says, read my lips, no new taxes, but I would be very, very hard-pressed to vote for a tax increase, and particularly in the way you framed it, that benefits the school, that doesn't benefit the community. Again, I think that's a false negative.
Alderman Pickett?
I agree. Any millage increase that we voted for in the past for schools has come directly from the school board, and we've given it to them, and I feel that it benefits the community because the more resources that we give our students, our teachers, our principals, our superintendents to do their job, to better educate, to keep our schools operating at the level they're at, I don't see where there would be one that would not benefit the taxpaying citizen or the school.
Thank you. Okay, live audience questions now. Please, anyone wants to raise their hand? I know there's got to be somebody that wants some questions. Okay, state your name too.
Let's say we have 600 kids around our school system. We know that 300 are going to do great with a good roof, good air conditioning, good teaching, and maybe go to college. We know the other 300, half could fall apart, go the wrong path. How do we plan on keeping those kids in to become a great citizen for our lovely Christianity? Do we give them vocational opportunities? Do we let them learn from business in the community? What do we do with the other kids that aren't so gifted academically? Thank you for your participation.
Well, I can tell you exactly what we do. We give them jobs at a local bookstore coffee house. If you walk in there, you're going to see some young people, and they are students. And sometimes they have not had a background where we sometimes have to start with basics and teaching basic skills, how to dress, how to interact with people, the importance of being on time. But that's how each one of us should do whatever we can to make every student feel respected and valued, regardless whether they are, as you've called, gifted or have other hurdles in their lives. It's a personal issue that each of us can make a difference. And I think each of us should do that. I don't know that there's an institutional answer. The city might beef up its programs with after-school activities or after-school projects. I think the city could do some things there to bring students together and have them interact and meet members of the community. If those students who need a hand up meet individually, each one of you, I am convinced that their lives will be better because they will be interacting with people that want to help them.
Alderman Pickens. I think with the students that are learning so well and what your question referred to, I think a little bit of tough love. I think you're right. A job at a local store, maybe a job in a field that they want to pursue. I don't know the exact policies of the Pass Christian schools, but I know they have vocational schools. I know they have ISS. The building next door to us, to where we can get people to figure out how they can learn, how they can find a trade that they like to do, or go into a field that they're interested in. I feel that the school leaders now are doing a great job at that, and they actually have a lot more opportunities for students, like work programs, where they're not exactly just in the classroom, face down in a book. But I believe that, a little bit of tough love with the actual knowledge of a physical job. Get out and see what the real world's like, and maybe you'll want to get back in that classroom and start cracking some bugs. Any other live audience questions? Yes, sir. Mr. Perry.
Very best person, Pastor Christian. My question is, I hear a lot about development, a lot about growth, a lot about all these things that are going to make us great. What about public safety? Where does that come in? What are we doing to retain our police and fire? What are we doing to activate recruitment? What would you do?
Okay, I'll go. Definitely. Well, you do hear a lot about that. Public safety falls under a few different things. We can go from the excessive amount of water taps cut into the street that people are running over and it's compromising our roadbed, or we can go to some other failing infrastructures. But right now, the biggest thing that we have to do is we have to retain our police officers and we have to retain our firefighters. It's a big game between entities, between the county, the state, other cities. So if we raise up $1, they raise two or three. We have to find that fine medium line to where we can raise our officers up. And it's going to take a board that's tough to do that because there might not be raises for everybody. But also, one of the things that I've done, I championed to reinstate that we had not had in place since Katrina, which would be the longevity pay to keep officers here, also fire. And I believe we've moved it on and done it for every employee that's staying here. I fought to get one policeman per ward, which we could not fill the spot this time around. We have to attract people here. We need police on the street. We also need equipment for them to use. One of the things that I've campaigned on is I want to keep your tax dollars here. I don't want to give them to grants or matches. I want to spend them here on you, on public safety. We need police cars. We have police cars running 24 hours. We do not have a ladder truck. We're working now to expand our fire station. We're also trying to get bunkhouses to where we can properly house men during the storm season. We're actually trying to get more places for our officers to live in town to where they don't have to take a vehicle so far out of town to save on the longevity of the vehicle, not just the officer. But we have to have incentives to be here. Now, public safety is also a big thing. We've been talking 4 years about a ladder truck. We don't have one. Our base flood is 23 feet up in the air, so we rely on response times to get other entities here. It's not our firemen's fault. We have to give them the proper equipment to do their job. And that's one of the things that I've fought for. We've also tried to give raises. This past year, every department was cut 10% and you paid more taxes. So we didn't do our job. And that's one of the things that's Alderman at large. I want to champion to where we can come together with all the Alderman's ideas. Also, with the numbers that are presented. Alderman, you have 30 seconds. I was finishing up. Also, we have a large deficit, but I want to get together with the Alderman's feelings to where we can actually put together and decide on something with the numbers that are given to us when we receive accurate numbers as a board. We have not received accurate numbers in 2 years. Mr. Dalton.
Sure. First of all, Victor and I were visiting before we came out here, and I told him that I would support a ladder truck for Pass Christian if he brought it up. So I'm honored that we agree on that. Finding good people and keeping good people is a problem everywhere, whether it's a city, a business. Good gosh, it's one of the most serious issues we have as a small business. It was an issue with a large corporation when I was dealing with 800 employees. Finding new talent means paying new talent and paying at least what your peers or other peers are paying, and then maybe a few dollars extra. It boils down to that. Then they can make a good life here, and we can add on some other incentives. The stay to pay concept, or the pay to stay concept, is a good one. The longer you're here, maybe the more you accrue in some sort of a bonus or bonus account. But we've got to make it attractive so officers, police officers, fire department can come here and then they can live and they can have a good life. It's going to boil down to money, and backing that up, we already have good leadership in those departments. That's not the issue. It's money. I'm done.
30 seconds, Mr. Dalton. Victor County. Sure, I can keep going on that one all day. Well, and it's right, we have to have something to attract officers here. When we have a young officer that's starting out, he's out of the academy, and this goes the same with fire. We pay for their training, their education to come here, patrol the streets, and keep you safe. But whenever they can make more money and other opportunities, other places, you can't fault somebody for leaving to provide for their family. It's something that keeps me up every night. We have got to be a strong board, a united board to come in, because we're going to have to do two things. Whenever we get our numbers straight, whenever anybody wants to talk about budget or whatever, when we get our numbers straight, two things are going to happen. We're going to have to come in, we're going to have to separate pay and rank between officers and firemen. Each rank will get a different tier pay, and then we're going to have to raise them up and get them on a scale yearly, aside from other city employees. That's a very tough thing. It hurts a lot of feelings, but public safety being number one, we're aldermen, we're here to make the tough decisions, but the right decisions for the community. We're not here to always do the thing that is the easy thing to do and keep everybody happy. Okay, Mr. Dalton, closing.
Certainly. Well, first of all, thank you for the opportunity, and thank you for your persistence in staying here this afternoon. I know it's been a long afternoon. I want to be definitive and talk about a few things that I would do to make a difference. First of all, when we talk about alderman meetings and what's on those agendas, so many times those things are already baked in. You don't have a chance to weigh in on an issue. The train's already left the station. Here's number one. I will hold at least 2 town hall citywide meetings every year. We'll rent the Randolph Center, we'll have an open mic. We need to get together and talk, and I would owe a duty to you, as well as my fellow aldermen, to explain what's coming up, what's going on, and talk through things. By the time something gets on the agenda at an alderman meeting, as I said, the train's already left the track, and all of you are having to play defense. That's just not fair. Listening is important, getting together as a community is important, hearing one another is important. That's one thing I will pledge to do. I mentioned this earlier. I'm going to advocate for the city's financial statement to be published on their website every quarter. That should be table stakes. That's how we know how much money we have. And one of the other things to look at in terms of, we've talked about it, supporting the police, supporting the fire department. We need to have a city plan. One of the reasons we're all elbows in the room at times is we don't have a strategic 5-year city plan. The last one I could find was dated 2006. We don't need people that yell fire when the building's already on fire. We need people in elected positions working with the city to plan. If we had a 5-year plan, we already would be funding street improvements. We'd be funding water improvements. We wouldn't have to borrow money that we don't have. We would have these things in a plan, and we would be successively every year dealing with these issues. A plan would also talk about the type of community that we want to have. How much is too much development? How much is not enough? We'd be talking through those things. A city plan, a strategic plan, a 5-year plan is critical. How many people would get on an airplane, sit in a seat, and not know where it's going? Well, that's essentially what we have without a city plan. One of the first processes I will start are those community conversations where we can all get together, get to know one another, and talk. Secondly, Alderman at large, bear in mind, it's Mayor Pro Tem. So when you're electing that position, you're electing someone who's going to step in at times, substitute for the mayor, do some political events. Who do you want in that position? That's important. Thank you.
Okay. We're going to close. Alderman, if you wouldn't mind staying close to the microphone so we get all loud straight.
Okay, no problem. I was having trouble hearing right here. It's the echo.
Closing statement for you.
Closing statement's great. A longevity plan, I think, with 2 years ahead.
2 years of a longevity plan, because you never know what the storm season is going to do. The other thing is, you've got a few critical issues facing this town. Okay, you've got the infrastructure integrity, you've got asset managed, and you have overspending. We have to dial that back. Who would you want in that position? I want Scott here as a businessman. We need him in this community as a businessman. We don't need him as our alderman at large. You need someone in that office who can substitute for the mayor, that doesn't have to ask questions, doesn't have to run to someone else. They can give you an answer because they have the experience. They've been out, they've walked the streets, they've answered your phone calls, they've physically seen a problem, and they're going to tell you how they're going to deal with it because they know how to do it. They can also go take a question from another alderman. They can come to you. You can immediately go to work on it to fix it. Fixing your problems. That's why you hire us. That's why you vote for us. We are here to work for you, the citizens. I feel this last administration, I don't know where we got off track of saying we know what's better for you, the citizen. We listen to you. We work for you. We're here to do the job that you want us to do. And I feel that honesty and integrity is one of the biggest things that I bring to the table. And also, in closing, I'm very passionate. I could talk about it all day long. But in closing, on April 1, make a choice for experience. I humbly ask for your vote. My name is Victor Pickage. I will continue to be active, accountable, and available. I have my phone number available. You can call me anytime. I pray you come out and look, assess your issues, and give you an honest and clear answer to get things done. And I invite you to look into my track record on that. Thank you very much for your time. I know everybody's buns are hurting sitting in those bleachers. And I humbly ask for your vote. I'd love to continue the honor of serving the city of Pass Christian and its citizens in the future. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you,
Thank you, Hunter.
Okay, we're going to take 10 minutes intercession before we present the mayor candidates, and 10 minutes. This clock starts now.
Jimmy. Mayor.
Check. Check. Come up with the audio. Now come up with your main for both of these. I'm gonna get. Come up. Keep coming with it. Check. 1, 2. Check. 1, 2. Check. You can turn it down. Like you use those and give to them if they want.
Yeah. Because they can't hear the questions. That's what.
Yeah.
They want to be able to hear the questions. I'm trying to tell you guys, don't read the questions so fast. They're like,
Doing it in the gym is like reverb going everywhere. It's like
and the echo.
echoes back.
It's not about hearing us. It's about what we're doing is a live stream. But he is directing because we have over 10,000 people listening on live stream. It's yeah. Yeah, but see,
Will it be on the city's website?
no, it'll be on my website because I own this Bethesda domain.
So as long as they just let them stay behind.
Yeah.
They can use these mics right here.
But this is, you want it right here.
Y'all been doing a fabulous
Mayor.
job.
Mayor.
He can use that mic right here, but this was getting you loud.
Stand where you, tell him where to stand.
Great. Thank you.
Hold on, babies. I'm getting it. Okay, I got you. Although your heart
Ladies and gentlemen, have a seat. We're going to get started here. We got about 45 minutes. We'll try to work it out. Here we have the main challenge, the main group. We have Mayor today, and we have a couple to reference Alderman March and Wilson, and we will give the floor first. Mayor Rafferty.
Thank you very much, Hiram. And I'd like to thank you for staging this event and also for Paula Adros and the school system for hosting this. It's a very special event, great from hearing from all the persons and each of those positions. I'm going to start off today as to why I think I'm the right person for the job. And one of the first major themes is learning, and I'm learning each day. And one of these things I've learned in politics over the last roughly 4 years is that it's all about bringing people together. And it's not easy. And what you have to do is you have to strike the right sort of common ground. I've established some great working relationships in Jackson with our governor, Tate Reeves. And I just know that, let's just say that something unfortunate happened in Pastor Shan. I just know that if I pick up the phone and I call Tate, he'll answer. And I'm very confident that he would do something and have a very positive response to our request. It just so happens over the last 3 years, I've managed to secure over $25 million in grants. That's an amazing thing. In fact, I had a state legislator came into the city council meeting and said Pastor Shan proportionately has gotten more in grants than any other city in the state of Mississippi. And it's because of the relationships, forging those relationships and building those bridges. We've gotten $10 million for water and sewage. We've gotten $6 million for downtown development. We've gotten $5 million for the boardwalk. We've gotten $4 million for the harbor. Amazing thing. We only have an $8.3 million budget, and I've managed to get us over $25 million in grants over the last few years. With regard to infrastructure, look what we've done in infrastructure. $1.9 million in repairs to our paving, our drainage, our bridges, and so forth. Also, over $5 million in repairs to our hurricanes. And then the next main theme is really, it's our finances. You heard a lot of things, some true, some not true. The bottom line is we have almost $12 million right now in the city's bank accounts. And we have not 1.5, but we've got $2.5 million more dollars coming to us from FEMA. And this year we have an $8.3 million budget, and we're right on track. And without any loss in services to you, the taxpayer. And lastly, small town charm. I fought to get limits put on short-term rentals, and we got them. Right now, they cannot exceed more than 20% of a neighborhood, and I'm very proud of that because in one of those aldermen said, "I'm a free market man, and we don't have to have limits." That's not the town I grew up in. The town I grew up in is a small town where we have a neighborhood feel.
Mayor, you have 30
That's why
seconds.
I think I should be re-elected as your mayor on April 1st.
Alderman Torgerson.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name's Kenny Torgerson. I am your alderman at large for the last 12 years. Y'all hear me all right? Okay. So I've been in business now for almost 40 years in Pass Christian, graduated from Pass High, lived here all my life, and the first 8 years as alderman at large, served under Chipper McDermott, the city of Pass Christian had $6 million of reserves. We had an audit every budget cycle, and we had a balanced budget. We're almost 2 years behind in audits right now, and there's no way in the world that Mr. Rafferty can sit here and tell us that he knows how much money we have when no one in City Hall knows what our balances are right now. We had to defund the city of Pass Christian in the last budget cycle because we didn't know how much money we had. We had no idea how much money we had. So the city clerk had to only base our budget on what she knew we were getting in from sales tax and ad valorem, and there was no surplus, okay? So to this day, we do not know, all right? We do not know if we have any rainy day fund, the $6 million we had to run the city if we had a hurricane. And as best I can tell right now, so far in what we're doing in accounting, we're almost $800,000, $900,000 in a deficit right now. So I don't know where Mr. Rafferty gets these numbers, but it makes no sense. Number two, he talks about $7 million that we got for ARPA money for our sewer infrastructure right now. That money came down at least 5 years ago when Chipper McDermott was still the mayor, and we sat in meetings with Delbert Hoseman that was telling us that we needed to get our stuff in order really early. We were having meetings, and all these grants, all these projects that we needed to get in there very early so we could get started on these things, because some of these grants had time limits.
You have 30 seconds, Alderman.
So anyway, there's a lot of discrepancies in the city right now, and the only person that I know of that can fix this problem right now is myself. So.
And here we will have 4 minutes for each questions, 2 minutes rebuttal. So we're making a little bit extra time here. And the first question.
The first question is going to go to Mayor Rafferty. If you were given a $1 million grant from the city, given without any restrictions except for the harbor, what area of the city would you use this $1 million on?
I'd use it on sidewalks, just like I proposed to the board last week. $1.4 million in sidewalks at no cost to the city, and they said we weren't in favor of it. And that's just unconscionable. It would be for sidewalks, because it's all about safety. It's just like another thing I did mention. We were rated as the #1 safest city in the state of Mississippi for the first time. And that's something to be very proud of for people like Darren Freeman, our police chief, the police force, fire department, so forth. We got great teams there, and it's all about safety in this town. And that's where I would put that $1 million.
Alderman Torgerson.
If I had $1 million right now and there were no matches on it whatsoever, it would be infrastructure. It would be infrastructure in areas of Pass Christian that hasn't had any infrastructure since probably 1969. Everything from the south side of the railroad tracks was replaced after Hurricane Katrina. Nothing has been done on the other end on the north side of the railroad tracks. I live the furthest away from the railroad tracks as anyone could. I live as far north as you can on North Street. Nothing has been done in any of those wards since I've been in business, since 1985. We are spending more money every day maintaining infrastructure that is failing on emergency projects. It costs us twice as much money to do it if we had some kind of a long-term plan where we could go in there and fix this stuff, okay? Sidewalks has already been on the books now for 8 years since Mr. Rafferty came on board. It wasn't important to him then, but all of a sudden at the last hour, it's important for him to start talking about sidewalks. And phase 1 of his sidewalks is Scenic Drive, where there hadn't been a sidewalk in 100 years, okay? All the little pretty pictures that he shows, though, is North Street. I'm all in favor of North Street, but why haven't we started the one we already have, and why haven't we finished Henderson Avenue and North Street? It should be finished by now. That's not important. So, infrastructure. And if we had infrastructure, it might bring developers into the north side of the railroad tracks to build affordable housing.
Mayor, counter.
First of all, we've already had over $1.5 million spent on this track. Look at Lynn Circle, over $500,000 we spent on Lynn Circle. So, again, the bottom line is we're spending it on infrastructure. Okay. We're spending it north of the tracks, too.
Okay. Question 2.
This is for Mr. Torgerson. It's day 1 of your being the mayor.
Same we always have. We've always worked with our state officials. You pick up the phone, you call them. Chipper and I, we got the grant to do the sidewalk on North Street. It's probably going to cost twice as much now as it did because it's been dragging so long and the cost of everything so much more money. It should have already been finished. Same way we always had. You pick up the phone, you call them, you talk to them, and that's what these people are for. Our representatives represent you, the citizen, not me, the citizen. But us, mayors and aldermen, work together to try to acquire these grants. And it's exactly the same thing. These grants came down before Mr. Rafferty was a mayor. You know what I mean? The sidewalk grant has been in place for a long time. The Henderson Avenue widening has been around for a long time. It's just not started. It's not important.
Mayor?
Well, the bottom line is there was only roughly $2 million of the $25 million that preceded me. And with regard to the ARPA, that was just $1.5 million prior to my arrival. But here again, the bottom line is we have a lot of infrastructural needs, and we've gotten a lot done.
But in reference to the question about working with county, state, and federal officials.
Well, but you talk about working with the county. I started off with relationships. I struck a relationship with our supervisor, Marlon Ladner. You know what he agreed to do? Cover $273,000 a pay. That's what you call working with the county is. That's what you call working with the state is, and so forth. And I've been very effective at that.
Kenny?
We've always worked with the county for paving. We've always used the county's rates. The county gets a discount on asphalt, and the county allows us to use their rates to do paving. So we make projects during the year. We call the county. We talk to Marlon, and he approves most of it. North Street's a state aid road. The county is always taking care of North Street from Minge Avenue to Henderson Avenue. But the rest of the asphalt we've ever gotten, we get it at the tonnage price that the county, acquires. So we've always used that. It's nothing new.
But they've never paid for it directly. $273,000 as a result of relationships.
Next question.
My next question is going to be for Mayor Rafferty. In the last city council meeting, it is on the record that the city has not fulfilled their 2023 and 2024 audit, and the 22 and 23 showed large deficits. How can you reassure the citizens, how can you reassure the citizens that if you're reelected, that you will hold your administration to a higher financial standard?
Because the 22, 23, that was not a deficit. That was a planned expenditure for electronic meters, and that was already planned for. The next year, our account that we did bring in, he did make some mistakes. He made some mispostings and so forth, and we did incur a deficit. However, what we did is once I found out about that, we brought back on board Marion Governor, and she's a sensational person here, and she's done, and what I had her do is work as much time spent on this as she could. We notified the board, she spent time with the auditor, and what we did is we then put into place, working with the board, we put into place, we reduced our budget by 10%, and right now we have an $8.3 million budget this year, and we're right on track, and we haven't had one disruption of services to any of you, the citizens. Look, we've made it through 2 hurricanes, we've made it through COVID, and we're going to make it through this. That's leadership.
Alderman Torgerson.
For the last 2.5 years, the Board of Aldermen has been asking the mayor our state of finance. We never have gotten it, okay? So it got to the point where we went through one budget cycle without an audit from our auditing firm, so we really didn't know. As soon as that happened, I got on the phone and started calling the auditor, and the auditor said to me, we are not getting the information from the city of Pass Christian. And I must have talked to this lady half a dozen times at least. And finally she told me she had a meeting, and she said, I told the mayor and the city attorney that if you can't do the job, get somebody else to do the job. And that's when I started talking to Marion Governor, and thank goodness we were able to get her back. And she is saving the city. But we still don't know what our balances are yet because she's working pretty hard trying to finish those out.
Mayor, counter.
It's a factual inaccuracy because I'm the one who made the recommendation to bring her back.
That is incorrect. That is very incorrect.
Okay, we have final question for panel one.
This is for Mr. Torgerson. What do you see as the biggest opportunity for economic growth in Pass Christian and why?
Economic growth is trying to develop north of the railroad tracks, okay? That's where we have to grow. Economically, we really need to just keep the businesses that we have in check right now, in business really right now. But if we could develop north of the railroad tracks, it would be a big improvement because that's the only direction we really have to go anymore, okay? And it seems too that most of the children that go to our schools are on the north side of the railroad tracks because they can't afford to live anywhere else in the past. So it's going to be a lot of work to promote more economic development, you know, and it's just going to be a lot of work for the city of Pass Christian and the Board of Aldermen to keep working. It's the biggest thing is to keep everyone in the city shopping in our shops and eating in our restaurants. And Chipper McDermott used to just drill into our head, spend money in Pass Christian. So,
Mayor?
And that's something, you know, we're growing, we call it measured growth. You know, we added 43 homes last year, and that's under 3%. However, my focus has been downtown development. Now we have Pass Bungalows about to open up. It's going to have Fields Italian Restaurant. Unbelievable. I'm sure everyone here would love to have an Italian restaurant. Our police chief is getting ready to open up an ice cream shop downtown. St. Paul's, we got 43 townhomes that are being developed right there. That's going to be families going in and supporting our existing local businesses. I've spoken with a number of our local businesses, and they barely make it from one major event to the other, as far as that payroll tax. And now having that measured growth downtown, we're going to be able to keep them afloat.
Alderman Torgerson, you got a counter?
say again?
You have a counter with?
I think economic development is great, but the Bungalow project was already started before Mr. Rafferty became the mayor. That was a project that Chipper McDermott started.
Okay, student questions. Hold on.
This is a question for Mayor Rafferty. Do you believe the mayor should promote youth leadership groups in City Hall?
Yes, I do. And this is something we established the Mayor's Youth Council this year, and that's a great thing. That's done throughout the state. This year, you know, we didn't have representatives go attend the state conference, but next year we're going to have this program fully installed, and we'll have our representatives go to the state council. Very, very, very much supportive of that.
Repeat that question again, please.
Yes.
That's okay.
Do you believe the mayor should promote youth leadership groups in City Hall?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. We all need to be involved, and you know, and it seems to me that when I was in school, some of this even started in student council. You know what I mean? And y'all, one of these days, you all will be mayors and aldermen, and I really do think that y'all need to be involved, and we need to help y'all any way that we can.
Counter, anything?
Yeah, just here again, it's all about you. You're the future.
Absolutely.
Second question.
This question is from Mr. Torgerson. In the recent city meeting Tuesday, yourself and several board of aldermen decided to table several sidewalk ordinances. If elected, would you work towards developing sidewalks for the community?
I believe in sidewalks 150%, okay? But I do not believe using infrastructure money that could be used anywhere else in the city to pay for the matches. Every bit of that money that Mr. Rafferty's acquired for sidewalks has to have a 20% match. The city of Pass Christian does not have 20%, but what he was doing is diverting infrastructure money that could be used for infrastructure to pay for sidewalks on Scenic Drive. That was phase one. Phase one should have been North Street. okay? It should have been North Street. That should have been the first phase. But instead, we're going to build sidewalks on Scenic Drive that's never had sidewalks for 100 years, and 2nd Street that's never had sidewalks for 100 years. I think someday those are areas that need it. And number two, we need to fix the sidewalks we have instead of building new sidewalks. So always sidewalks are important, and we do have a sidewalk coming in on North Street that's been in the works for over 8 years.
Mayor Rafferty?
Yeah, well, I presented to the board a multi-year project, $7.1 million to pave all of North Street, all of 2nd Street, all of Everett, and Scenic Drive. And we got the 1.4 million, and with no match. No match, I mean, no cost to the city. We got another match of that. So that would be $1.4 million in sidewalks. I even presented them pictures that I took of students walking down North Street on the side of the road. And yet that's something that we need. And you talk about even, Kenny mentioned, developing North Street. What better way to develop North Street than to put sidewalks there? That's a good thing that we need, and that's something I'm going to fight for. Safety, safety, safety.
Alderman Torgerson?
Those pictures of those people on North Street were really remarkable, but that wasn't phase 1. That was like phase 5, which would have been 2028.
Talk a little bit louder.
That would have been 2028 or 2029 in that phase of his sidewalk repair. There's no telling by then how much more money those sidewalks would cost the city of Pass Christian in that year, okay? If it was phase 1, it would have been more of a consideration, but not when we have infrastructure problems in sewer and water mains and drainage culverts failing in other parts of the city. Those are the priorities right now.
Okay, and now I know there's going to be a lot of these. Raise your hand for an audience question, and if you're a resident of Pass Christian, state your name once you get the microphone in.
Hello. Thank you again for both coming here. My name is Lori Swallow, and I live on SB Avenue. I hear a lot about what you're planning, and this is phase 1, and need long-term planning. Does the city of Pass Christian have a master plan that allows for citizen input on what they want, not what's important to you, not what's important to you, but what they want? Something where the citizens can be part of that master plan that helps to develop not just the scenic route downtown, and that looks at density and looks at infrastructure and looks at drainage.
Kenny, you were shaking your hand. I'll let Alderman Torgerson answer the question first.
That's a really, really great question, and I think some of the concerns that citizens had when I've been walking through the different wards campaigning is that they aren't actually getting answers, okay? And so I think some of the answers to your question would be town hall meetings, and we have these things called workshops, okay? Like people are talking about drainage, and sometimes they do have drainage problems, but sometimes they just don't quite understand drainage. And I think if they were enlightened, if say one area, one part of the city was really complaining, and there are some, and I know them, if we could have like a workshop, it's not a board meeting, it's a workshop. And it might be the citizen, it could be any citizen, but it would be especially the citizens in their area that has that concern. And what we do is we get Public Works together, we get the city engineer together, and we start talking about it and talking about, like, say, where their drainage problem actually is, to give them the answers. And that's something that we really need to do, and we have done that in years past, not as much as we should have. And then I think anytime we have a major decision, no matter what it is, if it's going to be major infrastructure repairs, let's just say in one ward, we need that whole community to give us their input, so we need some town hall meetings about that stuff. So that's what my idea is. The other thing too is that the Board of Aldermen does not always know what y'all really want, because we don't get those questions sometimes. And it would be important if y'all would call us up on the phone, you know? I mean, it happens to me just about every day of my life because I'm so accessible, but it is a good question, and I think those are some of the answers.
Mayor, if you could speak in, like, stay right there behind the podium, because if you're moving around, we can't hear you on live stream.
It's all about town halls. That's how we get input from you all. And Kenny voted against town halls. So that was something Betty Sparkman, who is your alderwoman, wanted to have town halls, and they voted against it. But that's what we need to do, and that's why after July 1st, when I'm re-elected, we're going to have more town halls. And we have town halls focused on each ward. That's the way we get input from you all, and that's the way we get things done.
Second question, Ms. Margaret Jean. Hold on 1 second. I'm gonna grab this.
We haven't had a grocery store in this town since 2005. What would each of you do to bring a grocery store, any big chain grocery store, a small grocery store, Nico's, Rouse's, what would each of you do to bring the grocery stores back to Pastor's Share? Now, I know Mr. Thompson can keep his word because he has on Leovie Avenue, but I would like a firm commitment from either one of you.
What was that? He can keep his word for?
A grocery store. We don't have a grocery store in Pastor Christian except Walmart. Some of us are Walmart weary. We want a real, honest grocery store. Good meat, good veggies.
Mayor Rafferty?
Well, it just so happens last week I was talking to someone about bringing in a grocery store into downtown. Why are you shaking your head? Why do you ask the question, then you shake your head? I'm just making...
Mayor, if you don't mind staying behind the podium so we can...
Okay, but let me tell you, I was speaking with someone last week about bringing in something like that downtown. It just so happens the biggest challenge we had, it's called Walmart. Because a lot of these stores come in, they conduct these surveys, and they look at the amount of traffic coming in. That's going to be a challenge. I think we would all like to have that. We had community cash grocery store growing up and things like that. We had Raymond's growing up. We'd love to have that. Also downtown, I'd love to have a dry cleaners, which we have. We had 3 bakeries downtown. But one thing is happening, one thing that's really good, this development at St. Paul's, this is 36 townhomes coming in. That's more people. That's going to be a greater demand for these small businesses coming in, Margaret Jean. And that's exactly what we want to get, is a small grocery store. You're right on the mark.
Alderman Torgerson?
I think it'd be great. This is a question that's been asked 100 times. I mean, when we were younger, we had Sunflower, and then we had Winn-Dixie, and I guess if I was in the position where I could go out there and I had the time to start talking to some of these people, maybe we could get something like that done, you know? But that would be a mayor job, you know what I mean, where he would have time to sit there on the phone and start looking for... We have locations, too. I'm pretty sure that we could do something like that. But I'm all in favor of it. I mean, it would be nice to have somewhere other than Dollar General and Walmart to do our shopping. Thank goodness we do have that little Dollar General store. It's pretty nice.
Questions? Sir? Yes, sir. State your name if you wouldn't mind.
Thank you. My name is Michael Christovich. I live on 829 Scenic Drive. Most of us have been here for 3 hours. We've heard from all the representatives about the budget, the lack of the last 2 years of an audit. Most of us are just bewildered by that. We just don't understand. And then there seems to be the colloquy between the candidates. It's not difficult. Is there a deficit? Is it 800,000? Does anybody know?
Yeah, you want to answer that, Frank?
We have as a budget and whether we have a deficit.
We have a budget, and it's right on track for this year. It's right on track. We had some mistakes in the past.
Mayor, let him finish the question.
We have not seen an audit. Why haven't we had an audit for 2 years?
You're getting it because Marion Governor is doing a hell of a good job of getting it fixed, of getting things fixed. I said, Marion Governor right here is spending an inordinate amount of time to get it completed. Okay, you just got to be patient on that front. Look, we're out there. Biloxi just published theirs. We're what, 4 months behind Biloxi. We're getting it done, and we're not. Now, like I said, we got almost $12 million in our account right now, and another $2.5 million come from FEMA. So this is a very solvent community we're in.
You're saying to this body, to everyone in this auditorium, there is no deficit.
I said what we have had it in the past. This year, right now, no, there is no deficit. Right now, we're managing. Right now, we have a budget $8.3 million right now, and we're right on track. We've had it in the past.
Alderman Torgerson?
Well, I don't agree with that at all. I mean, why did we have to defund the whole city in the last budget cycle, you know? Let me tell you, though, and no one really quite understands what our city clerk is having to go through. She's having to go through every single department and actually reconcile every single solitary account to try to figure out where the money is or was or is not. And she's working in the code office right now, I'm pretty sure, and there is some problems in there. But she's still working pretty hard trying to figure all that out, and she can't turn this paperwork into the auditor until she gets everything reconciled. And not only this, she's also running this election. That's her job. You know, the clerk runs most of the election, and she's still doing the daily activities of the city of Pass Christian. So she's stretched 3 or 4 different ways really right now. So that's what she's doing. So that's
Mr.
what's
Dwyer.
always happened since I've been alderman at large. But again, the first 8 years of being alderman for the city of Pass Christian, we didn't have any problems. I mean, we got an audit report every year. We also got a fund balance every quarter to tell us where we were as we went down through the year of the budget. We didn't have that until now.
Mr. Dwyer?
Hi, I'm questioning, there's been a lot of, there's been some questions in the last week or so in regards to certificate of occupancies that haven't been filed with the tax assessment. I went back and looked at several just new constructions, and I have that ability real quick to do it. And I noticed one this morning that was built 3 years ago, and it's still assessed for $36,000, the land bank, and it's probably a $900,000 house. So I just did rough calculations, and that's $10,000 plus a year. The city has lost for the last 3 years just on one house. So the 40-some odd houses that were built last year.
43.
Can you tell me how many of those certificate of occupancies were sent in? And can you tell us where we are with that? Because I have questions and nobody can say that they're all sent in.
No, I don't have
Mayor
any
Rafferty?
as far as how many were filed.
Well, my
However, I
concern
would
is
talk.
tax dollars we are losing.
That's right.
Just one house has been.
Okay, I'm not familiar with that one. I'll look into it, but I'm not familiar with that.
Alderman?
Oh, God.
Alderman Torgerson?
I've heard the same story, but as a rule, you know, the Board of Aldermen just don't have the connection, I guess, that we should have with code office, you know, and actually City Hall. So I don't doubt that those are the numbers. I've heard those numbers, and there is, what, tens of thousands of dollars probably of taxes that could have been collected, and these people are living on property that they're just still paying undeveloped property taxes on. So I don't have that answer. But if I was the mayor, I would.
Thank you. Pete Furs, live on Barclay Drive. I spent 30 years in the United States Navy and understand about authority, responsibility, accountability. Now, very shortly, the citizens, those here and those who have voting rights within the city are going to hold the elected officials accountable. I'd like to understand how, as mayor, each of you will hold your subordinates, the department heads, accountable. I think that would alleviate the issues we have right now, like an audit, as an example. So, Mr. Torgerson, could you touch on that, please?
I would absolutely be more hands-on in every single department, and then I would hold all those departments accountable. You know, I mean, it's one thing to have a department meeting, and then it's a second thing to hold them accountable to those meetings and our expectations. You know, so I would be way more involved. I would be more overseeing. You know, and I would have more information, you know, of what's really going on. It's really pretty simple, too. I mean, you know, the city needs to get back to its basics, you know, and it hasn't been. So I would hold every one of those department heads accountable. We'd have meetings. They're good people. They just need to be, you know, supervised.
Mayor?
And I think we do have effective leadership. Look at, we're rated as the #1 safest city in the state of Mississippi. You know, we have effective leadership in our police department, our fire department, and so forth, our harbor and so forth. So we got very effective leaders there, and I'm doing a wonderful job of leading this city. I mean, look what we're doing right now. It's all, I refer to as Pascal positivity, because a lot of good things are happening in this city.
Sir, state your name.
There was a question asked earlier on this $36,000 house, I believe it was, property. The mayor has nothing to do with that. That's Harrison County. They said not the city, Harrison County.
This is the city. Sir, we need questions to the mayor candidates about the city of Pasco.
That's fine. The bottom line, I think she was raising whether or not it had made it to the city, to the county, or whatever.
Here you go.
So why don't we just do this?
Thank
you. You direct the question to one of us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Mr. Mayor,
Yeah.
Your name, sir?
Oh, Barry Meseros, Pastor Christian. Everyone wants to talk about numbers. Let's talk about numbers. I really just like, can anyone tell me how much money we have committed in matching funds for this year and the next year and the next year?
Mayor, you want to answer the question first?
As far as matching funds, really the only matching funds that we had to put up for St. Paul's, that development, we had $300,000, and we've already paid for that. The other grants right now don't have a match. And if we get the $1.4 million sidewalk would have a match, $255,000. However, we've got another grant that could pay for that. So that's how we could end up with $1.4 million of sidewalks for free. And as Kenny mentioned, that's not just scenic drive. What he also failed to mention is exactly what I pointed out to the board. When we put in for the grant of $1.4 million, it had sidewalks on Cedar going down to past the States right near the high school. It also had 2nd Street going down to Lang Avenue. And it also had scenic drive. But the board of aldermen can elect, if they come up with a higher priority, like let's just go down exclusively down North Street, they can do that. So it's not having to wait until 2027. That decision rests with the board.
Alderman?
The match, 20%. As far as knowing what all of our grant matches are, I cannot tell you, but I can tell you that the 20% match on the sidewalk grant was the CapEx money, and that money could be used for other infrastructure than just putting sidewalks in. Now, the money was already acquired for the sidewalk from roughly Cedar Avenue to maybe Clarence Avenue. That money was already acquired. Now, the fees are going to be higher now because it's been on the back burner way too long. So, you know, we will have to use some match money to do that. But that's the first project that we need to start and finish. It should have already been finished.
Any other questions? Yes, ma'am. Michelle. You state your name, though.
Michelle Hagel. Both of you are running as Republican. How do you feel that you would be a mayor for all of the people of Pasco Christian?
Mayor?
Okay, well, you know, I think I think I've demonstrated that, and it's through actions. I've helped 6 homeless families, get into furnished housing at Camille Village. What I've also done is I've also prevented 4 tenants from being evicted. Although Malcolm Jones, our city attorney, didn't like that. He said, Jimmy, that's between the landlord and also between the tenant. I said, One of them complained just because she had a hole in the floor. I went into her apartment, I saw the floor. I went into to the manager's office and I said, this is unacceptable. I also called the senior management up north of Oxford, and it's about helping people. Also, I learned that this lady was losing her house on August 28th if she didn't come up with $2,011 because she lost her homestead exemption. I went down to the county courthouse 3 different times, working with another person in the town. We together were able to pay that off such that she's not going to lose her house. That's what it's all about. That's how I help people in this town.
I think the simple answer to that question is as far as I'm concerned, there's no difference between Republican, Democrat, or Independent. All of y'all are citizens and people of the city of Pass Christian, and y'all need to get the same service, and it makes no doggone difference.
We have one more question. Here you go. State your name, ma'am.
We have moved here from Oxford, Mississippi. Both my husband and I worked at the city of Oxford. I was administrative assistant at the Oxford Fire Department. I know a little bit about boards. I know about mayors. Work with them with budgets and stuff. So my thing is y'all are talking about deficits, and you don't believe there's a deficit. You believe there is a deficit. For the last 2 years, there's been no audit for anything. So how does a mayor and a board not know about finances in their own city? The second question is, right, the second part of this is you take 10% away from what, the city employees, and you brag about having $8 million from that 10%. Now you have $12 million cash on hand in the bank for whatever you want to spend it on, but did you give any of that back to the city employees that make this city work? Not the board. Did you take 10% from the mayor? Did you take 10% from the Board of Alderman's paychecks? I don't know. I was a city employee. My husband was a city employee. When you come to me and say you're going to take 10% of what I make, which is absolutely nothing, because anybody that works for the city in any town knows you don't make any money. That's when I say, give you my 2 weeks notice, I'm going somewhere that's going to pay me and not take money. Every year, everybody in the state of Mississippi that works for any municipality or anything else, we sit there and every year we go, are we going to get a 1% raise? Is the state going to give us a 3% raise? What are we going to do? But don't come to me and tell me you're going to take money away from me and then brag about how much money you have in the bank.
Let me just correct that. Okay, we didn't take money out of people's pay. What we did is we cut the budgets, not pay. We didn't decrease anybody's pay.
Alderman Torgerson.
Mayor Rafferty's correct. We did not take money away from anyone. We just froze any potential hiring. You know, some of the departments did need more help, but we simply couldn't pay them, so we didn't hire them. And then any kind of raises was frozen. We didn't do that. We couldn't do it until we could figure out what our balances are, what our budget was. And I think, what was the other question? You wanted to know why we don't know. Well, the Board of Aldermen get a report from City Hall. We work as a body to vote for budgets that he presents to us, and then we will take it apart and adjust it and decide, yes, we're going to do that, or no. But we still have to get the information from City Hall. That is his part. That's the way this form of government works. We're not allowed to be in that part of those decisions. So when Miss Governor came back, she said, I cannot give you any projected growth. I cannot give you any reserves that you might have left, or it's not reserves, it's just leftover money that didn't get spent. Can't do that. We got to only spend what we know that we're getting in taxes this year, and that's what we did. Okay, but we didn't take any money away from anyone.
Mayor Rafferty?
And that's what we're doing this year. You know, as I mentioned, we had, the former city clerk make some mistakes, but right now we brought Marion back in. Marion has taken the necessary steps, and also she is, our budget this year of the $8.3 million, that's exactly what our projected revenues are, and we're being very conservative with that, and as a result of that, we're having no takeaway in services to our public, and we're not increasing your taxes either.
We thank you both gentlemen for being here. Alderman Torgerson, if you would mind closing.
Y'all, we have a lot of hard decisions to make. We got a lot of work to fix. I need to get past Christian back the way it was 4 years ago. We need to fix the infrastructure that we already have. We need to clean the streets up. We need to keep the street lights working. We need to reform committees and we don't have a harbor commission anymore. We have no harbor committee anymore. The alderman doesn't know what needs to be done in those areas. Those should be brought back. And I just feel like and there's no telling what we're going to face in these finances. We don't know that. And I think I'm the only one that can solve that problem for y'all right now.
Thank you. Mayor Rafferty.
Okay, well, I think great things are happening in this community, and I think we're better off. We have more employees now. We have more police officers than when I started. The year before last, we gave 7.4% increases, 10% to our police force. So we invested in our first responders. Good things are happening. Look at what we're doing. We had $1.9 million in drainage repairs and so forth last year. Look what we're doing this year. We're getting ready to embark on, MDOT is going to spend $4 million to put crossing arms on every one of our 8 railroad crossings that don't have crossing arms, only have a stop sign. That's safety, safety, safety. They're going to spend another $4 million to improve the grading, like at Menge Avenue, so trailers don't bottom out. So really, great things are happening in this town, great services, great people, great community, and we're not going to increase your taxes. Please vote for me on April 1st. Thank you.
We thank you, gentlemen, both.
Thank
Thank you both.
Thank you.
We hope we helped find out who you're going to vote for, the candidates, and we thank you very much for being here.